Well, hello and welcome everyone to Archery in Paris Watch Along. I'm Greg White and I'm here with a panel of experts. But before we get to these great people, we're here to tell you what we're doing. So we're here watching coverage of Archery in Paris. We're here to watch it with you. So you're not going to see the coverage here on our YouTube channel, but if you have access to Archery in Paris, then you want to pull up the feed and you want to get us on another device and hang out with us for the next several hours, as today's matches are going to be the men's team finals. And we're going to go from your quarterfinals all the way to the gold medal match. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And we're just here chilling with you guys talking about archery. But let's get to our expert panel. First and foremost, bottom left-hand part of your screen is going to be Justin Hewish, two-time Olympian gold medalist. Justin, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you here. And how you feeling, buddy? I hear you got no sleep for the last 40 hours or so.
Fresh from the Buckeye Classic out in Ohio. Got home from the airport about 2 hours ago, just in time to get set up and ready to hang out with you guys.
We're really happy to have you here. We're going to learn more about you in the broadcast. Now, sitting on top of Justin is actually Lloyd Brown, who was his coach during those 1996 Olympics. Lloyd, good to have you back on the broadcast. How are you today?
It's a nice sunny day here in England, quite rare.
It's a nice sunny day and quite rare. On top of him is my good friend Jim Chrisman, an archer in his own right, and Jim is going to be helping us out with plotting arrows. Jim, welcome to Archery in Paris, man. Did you think you'd find yourself on this broadcast 3 days ago?
Absolutely not, and it's great to be here and join such an elite panel of guys.
All right, Jim, appreciate it. And keeping our stats is the ever-present, awesome Olympian in his own right, Bernardo Oliveira. Hello, man. How's everything from Switzerland?
It's great. It's nice, sunny, and warm. Also a little bit unusual here. But yeah, just really glad to be joining you guys today once again. We had a cracker of a session yesterday. It was amazing, and I think we might have another one today. But yeah, just happy to be the only non-American representative here, keeping this from being 100% all-American watch party.
It happened that way today. We still have more coming at you later in the week. We have 3 more, and then we'll definitely have more of a mix of people in there. But yeah, it's good to have you here. Let's talk about some big stories. All right, so the big story is obviously what happened yesterday in the women's team finals. Now, team competition began in these games back in 1988. So there's been 10 iterations, I guess you could say, of this games. And the Korean women, under tremendous pressure, were able to get their 10th in a row. Just incredible. And here is a caricature of a photo that they took with their gold medals after they won that. Let's talk about it real quick. Bernardo, you've been around the sport a long time. Justin, you as well. So Bernardo first, let's talk about the magnitude of that accomplishment at such high games and the Korean domination on the women's team side of things.
Yeah, who just looks at this longest streak might think that they are totally on a class of their own and that they just breeze past. But for sure, this was their gold medal, the Olympic title that they had to fight the most for. And it was amazing. Like, really, if you haven't watched it yesterday, I'm really sorry for you. And all I can say is you should go back and watch the replay, because it's worth it. It was amazing. Yeah, it wasn't new. It wasn't a new team winning, but it was so exciting. And they, you know, they just met whatever was thrown at them. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too that's pretty incredible is the fact that how many athletes over those 10 gold medals they have rotated in and out. The Korean bench, if you will, is just so deep with talented archers. And Justin Hewish, you won a team gold medal in your career. How difficult is it to win one, let alone 10 in a row?
It's an amazing accomplishment. I mean, if you probably go through all Olympic sports, there's probably not a streak like this in any of the, different sports there are. So for me, that's all I know. I started in '89 and they already had basically won their first gold medal and just continued on. And it's just an amazing feat.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And obviously from a coaching perspective, Lloyd, 1996 with the gold medal, I mean, let's talk about the system in Korea, right? Because you've gone through coaching changes, you've gone through athlete changes over the course of those 10 Olympics. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, they have an awesome system of feeding the athletes through. You know, they start them young, they teach them right, they spend a lot of hours early learning to shoot that shot and then working up through the system. So they have a really organized way of developing their archers and also developing their coaches. That's why you see Korean coaches all over the world as well. They definitely have
Yeah, and of course
a system of producing champions.
they do. And yesterday we had Socha Wan, who was on here, who's part of that system on the compound side of things, and she gave us a lot of insight into it. Another big news item, of course, yesterday's matches were that Mexico winning bronze medal. That was really a huge fight over the Netherlands. They were the number 3 seed, Mexico. So you kind of think, okay, they were a third place qualifier, but they also had to fight it, and they went up against a 12 seed team from the Netherlands that gave them a huge challenge. Bernardo, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it was beautifully played. What really caught my attention in the bronze medal match between Mexico and the Netherlands was, I believe Mexico was the only team yesterday that, even though they seeded higher, they chose to shoot second. And they did so because of the windy conditions. And in the first set, they read the conditions beautifully through the mistakes made by the Netherlands. You know, they just used their opponent's arrows to read the wind, and they won that first set. And you know, in such a tightly contested match, that made the difference. And yeah, beautifully played by the Mexican team.
Now, these games obviously always have great stories, and I'm not sure if you guys heard or not, but Angie Ruiz, who was part of that team, it was her birthday yesterday. So on her birthday, she ends up winning a bronze medal, and that's one of those another great kind of feel-good stories there as well. Let's talk really quickly about what's coming up in the schedule today. So we have quarterfinals that are going to begin, and in those quarterfinals, we're going to have Chinese Taipei versus China. That's going to be our first match of the day, and you can see that on the left part of your screen here in our watch party. And then we're going to have Korea versus Japan, India versus Turkey, and Italy versus France. Now, of course, I know, Bernardo, you've had a chance to watch these matches this morning where we had, obviously more teams that had to go through a single round to get here. But so far, the competition in the men's team has been fierce, and there's already been some shoot-offs, correct?
Yeah, exactly. But China Taipei, they really were super solid. What caught my attention today in the morning was, compared to yesterday morning, the first rounds of the women's teams, is we saw so many big mistakes, really the nerves kicking in, you know, like teams really struggling to feel a little bit comfortable in this mighty arena. You know, it has a 8,000 seating capacity. But today with the men's, we saw less of that. We saw teams like just shooting really strong off the blocks, and China Taipei was one of them. So they qualified late for the Olympics. They qualified in the final qualifying tournament, but they just took long to qualify. It wasn't really the fact that they're a bad team, not at all. Like they are a strong team, and current silver medalists from Tokyo. They lost to Korea in the final, so they will want to be in the podium once again here.
Now, Justin, you won your gold medals at home in front of a home crowd. And obviously France is going to be in this men's team's final. I'm curious to find out, before we get to those matches, if there's really such thing as a home field advantage or an energy from the crowd. And also, when you were shooting, do you remember the size of the crowd? Because I know that you were shooting yesterday in Ohio in the States, and you're already back in California. But yesterday's venue was packed. I mean, there was almost no seat empty. And Vanessa Lee had told us it was about 8,000 people, but it certainly looked more than that. So I'm curious, as your perspective, when you've been under the sunshine and going for a team gold, like, what was your situation like?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a home field advantage. It's like fourth team member basically, and so I'm looking for France to get a little boost from that for sure. Having the crowd cheer for you, it's better when the crowd is just erupting and they're all cheering. The thing that gets you when you're shooting is when they try to like respect and start getting quiet right when you're shooting, but then you have a handful of people saying, "Come on, Justin, go USA," and you actually literally hear that like a microphone, and sometimes it doesn't affect you necessarily, but it definitely stands out. And France has never won a team men's team medal yet. So I like to see them, do that.
And Lloyd, from a coaching perspective, I mean, for those people that definitely didn't tune in yesterday, which I'm sure as our audience continues to grow here on our Archery in Paris watch party, from a coaching perspective, let's say that Bernardo mentioned that Chinese Taipei so late to get into this tournament, but they were impressive this morning. From this perspective, if you're a coach and you're saying, look, this is the biggest venue you're probably ever going to shoot on, what advice would you be giving these teams and these athletes to keep them calm and keep them focused?
I think it's well. First of all of these teams that have made it this far are all top teams. I mean, to get into this top 8, just to get into the Olympics, you had to make some pretty good performances somewhere along the way. So any of them can do this. Any of them can pull this out. But yeah, I think it's really just keeping the team on an even keel, keeping them just thinking not so much about the event, but just get up there and do your thing. Just you not to try to get them. You don't want them to try to shoot better. You just want them to go up and shoot regular old shots, and it's just keeping them kind of calm, relaxed, and staying in the game the whole time, because we see it over and over. Anything can happen, and it's never over until that last arrow is shot.
So it looks like we are about 3 or so minutes away from getting this match underway. Now, we are watching a feed that's coming in. So if you have the ability to watch Archery in Paris, then you want to get that on another device. Maybe you have an iPad or an iPhone, or you can grab another window on your computer if you're watching as you watch along with this. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, then you can put them right in to the comment section here on our YouTube feed. If you're watching us on Archery Plus, you can always do that X thing, the former Twitter for old people like Jim who don't know what X is. And then you can tag in @WorldArchery, and we'll get it. If we get a chance, we'll post your comment, or we'll definitely have one of the experts from the panel. Now, Jim, real quick to get you involved in this conversation. I mean, this obviously is Olympic recurve archery, but you had a chance to look at what was going on yesterday. Are you prepared for the fast pace that these arrows get shot in this tournament?
Absolutely. It definitely was a little alarming. It is quite fast paced. It's very different doing it versus sitting here running a scoreboard, but looking forward to it.
So Lloyd, why don't you tell us a little bit about like what we're going to be seeing in terms of the process of the shooting, how many arrows get shot at a time, and the clock and all that kind of stuff.
We've got 8 teams. There'll be 2 teams competing against each other, and because they're using the set play, it'll be the first team to get to 5 points, which means you got to win 2 and tie 1, or win all 3 if you want to go that way. Could go to a shoot off. We saw 2 this morning, which are really quite exciting. We saw some yesterday, especially that gold medal match for the women yesterday, which was pretty exciting. But basically, each team, once they start, the one team will shoot 3 arrows, one arrow for each archer, and then they'll alternate. The other team will shoot their 3, and then 3, and then 3, and then when they go down for that end to score all 6 arrows, whoever has a high score will get 2 set points. And we'll just keep doing that until somebody gets to 5 or 6, sometimes if it goes 6-0, to win the match.
And this match in our quarterfinals is going to be Chinese Taipei against China. Interesting matchup from a political geo point of view, I suppose. But nonetheless, this is the field of play for sport. And all these athletes care about is trying to get past the team in front of them to get towards that gold medal match. Now, the interesting bit here, too, is the fact that you have 8 teams. So the winner of each one of these matches is guaranteed to shoot for a medal. And that's really important.
As we see the athletes being introduced, I just wanted to pick up on a little thing that Lloyd mentioned, like that any of the teams we're about to watch, they are great just because they're here. And there is a very funny thing, which is all the 8 teams that we're about to watch, they are literally the top 8 teams, both in the world ranking and the top 8 teams in the qualification round in Paris. So no upsets at all. And by these 2 metrics, these are indeed the 8 best teams in the world. Just funny. It's a bit unusual to see this.
So they introduced the coaches, the athletes, and boy, Justin, it looks like a beautiful day to shoot. What's your ultimate condition? Do you like a cloud cover, like a gentle cloud cover, or do you like the bright sunshine, or do you like conditions that basically simulate what you practice in at home?
I don't mind the sunshine as long as it's not directly in my face, like the morning sun coming up. But yeah, a cloud cover is usually probably what everyone prefers at the end of the day for string alignment and things like that. And obviously, you'd want to have no wind. That way, that's not a factor. But some people like wind because they feel like they're stronger, and especially if you're shooting against an opponent that might be quote unquote more talented than you, it's definitely an equalizer. But once you get to the Olympic stage here, you'd always like to see calm weather, so that way you can really see the true talent and who should win the actual match.
All right, Jim Chrisman getting ready to go to work to plot our arrows here as we get our first arrow of our Archery in Paris watch party going. China's going to kick us off, and it's a right side 9 just outside the 10 ring, so a good start. At this level of archery, keeping them in the gold is pretty critical moving forward. Now, Justin, when you were on the team, what was the process that you guys went through to decide the shooting order? Because the shooting order can be really critical in terms of your strategy to win.
I had nothing to do with the shooting order. That was more the rest of the team and Lloyd deciding. I think in our case, I never was one that would just come up and shoot 10, 10, 10. Because back then we shot 9 arrow ends. But you could always count on me to send the arrows down there and not like choke right off the beginning. I'd get us a good even start. And so I think that's why Lloyd and the crew picked me to start first. Butch would always, you can count on him shooting 10, 10, 10 or something really solid. And Rod, sometimes he would shoot his best when you gave him the least amount of time. So they put him in third, and Butch would always kind of lag a little bit to give him as little bit of time as possible. So he would have to just shoot his arrows quickly, and that would be the best way that he would shoot well. So that's the kind of the order we picked. But, Lloyd could probably answer more about that.
I think, yeah, you always want to lead off with a good arrow, although Butch ended up being the one that shot probably the most 10s. But yeah, you could count on Rod to shoot fast. If you kind of knew you could take extra time because Rod would pick it up if you had to. And Butch would. I remember him taking like too much time and not leaving Rod a lot of time. And he just looked at me and he said, I could see Rod thinking. It's not good when Rod thinks. And so I purposely gave him less time so he wouldn't have time to think. He'd just have to go up there and shoot his arrow. And it worked. He'd pound it right in the middle.
So looking at the score so far, you have Chinese Taipei is up there with a 10, 9 asterisk and an 8. If you're new to archery and you're curious about what the asterisk next to the 9 means, that's a line call. So the people that are actually looking at the arrows themselves downrange that are plugging in these scores on your feed, they're the ones in question. There's no question that one's a 10. So the judge will go down after this end is complete, and the judge will head down there and look at that and make the determination. Any arrow that touches a line gets the higher point value. So obviously the inner circle is a 10, then we go 9, 8, 7, 6. You can see the numbers that go out on the right side of that target. So we already have ourselves a really strong match, as China was able to come back in the second half of this first end with 30 points. So it's 56 points, but with that 10 from the first arrow from Chinese Taipei, I was going to say they had a 1-point advantage, but right now, in terms of if this archer can shoot a 10, and look at your heartbeat on the screen as well, Justin, it's pretty cool. Get to check out the heart rate monitor. A 10 right here is going to tie it, and then we're going to split set points 1-1. All right, so that's a 9. So what ends up happening is that 9 asterisk is going to be a critical call for them, because at the moment Chinese Taipei lost a set, they're going to go down 0-2. But if that arrow gets called as a 10, and Jim, I like that. So Jim, you think it's a 10 because you drug it in there on our feed as a 10, right?
Yeah, it's real close. It'll be interesting, but yeah, I think he's got it.
All right. So that's Jim Chrisman. He thinks it's going to be a 10. The second arrow for Chinese Taipei. We'll get the scores updated. So you can see that the crowd is starting to fill up. It's kind of what it was yesterday. It actually looks a little bit busier at this point in time during the day. But what we saw is that the crowd continues to roll. And Justin, you made a point earlier that Vanessa Lee had really told us about, that she saw a mix of an experienced crowd with archery and people that were new to archery, and so we did ask her the question, are people talking in the middle? Now, when you say that people would say to you, like at full draw or when the crowd quieted down, they'd yell out, "Go Justin, go USA." You heard it. Would it bother you though? Or would it motivate you when you heard that stuff? Like, would it mess around with your concentration?
I guess it really depends on the archer at the end of the day. I definitely heard it. Did it affect me? I don't think so. It definitely felt good to have the crowd in your favor, and it's just really hard to say. For me, it definitely pumped me up. I sometimes look back on the video and wonder, like, what was I thinking half the time, because I was doing fist pumps and all kinds of things and trying to get the crowd going. But did I really notice it at the time? I did, but I just kind of kept just pulling back my bow and shooting my arrows, and everything went my way.
How many family members did you have in the stands there?
I think it was over 30. And sometimes they'll show like a picture of the crowd after I shoot a shot, and they would always kind of pan on that section, and you could definitely distinctly see them, because they were jumping higher and fist pumping harder than anyone. And then sometimes, like when I'd shoot my last arrow at the end, you'd hear like, "You the man," and it was like all my uncles, and you definitely could hear them.
That's more of a home field advantage than anything else, right? People made time to travel within the states.
Yeah,
Right,
it's one of those things that it could also be a detriment, when you have family there, because sometimes you're worried about them and what they're thinking, and it kind of applies a little more pressure.
You don't realize that crowd is actually close enough. You can hear an individual if they're making noise. And there was one archer that I worked with that was a really low heart rate there. That was a bit kind of traumatized, being able to hear a parent during the competition, the Olympics. So I think it just depends on the individual and how they deal with it.
That is true. Like, I remember playing American football in high school, and taking a big hit. And of all the people in the stands, I could hear my mom's voice, like, isolated. "Oh, are you okay?" And I'd be like, "What? You just kind of tuned into it. So Chinese Taipei first half, they're starting to slip just a little bit in their first 3 arrows, 8-9-8. China's on 10-9-9. So at the halfway point, they have a 3-point advantage. China's up shooting their last 3 arrows, drifting a little bit low left. The one thing, Lloyd, looking at what we looked at yesterday, obviously the wind is less than it was yesterday. It was blowing quite a bit, and we saw a lot of left arrows, and we haven't seen that so far in this first match. They've been pretty much landing in the middle or just outside that gold ring.
It doesn't look like it's blowing as much, but you do see a little bit of movement in the hair there. We don't get much of a picture to really tell how much it's blowing.
Nine right. Now, Justin, next time the Chinese athletes shoot, I want you to look at the leadoff shooter, and I want you to look at his the pin coming off of his sight. It is so short. Like, the angle of which he must shoot the bow you know, the I don't know what you call it, the pin that comes off and you have the circle with your little, you know, with the aperture, right? That you're aiming into. Some of those are really long and some of those are short. Like, watch when China comes up in the next end. It's pretty incredible. But there's a good shot. Looked like it caught an X, maybe. How's our boy Jim doing? You doing all right, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Couple things to note on our graphic when you're watching us on our YouTube feed, as we are watching, obviously, the feed coming from Paris with the 9 for China, is we'll keep an eye on that point average, and you can see that every time Jim plots an arrow, it's going to change that point average, and that's going to be for the entire match. And the one thing about the set scoring system is that in the points average department, you could actually win a match and not have the highest point average. It just kind of depends on when those things are shot, what time they're shot. And we've definitely seen yesterday more 10s shot by teams that have lost. All right, so after the second set, it looks like China's going up 3-1. What's up, Bernardo?
I just wanted to bring some stuff here. I have Vanessa texting me saying that it's like boiling hot in the venue, like super hot. And even the sun kind of shows that, like the shadow of the arrows on the target, it's like it's super bright, you know, the sun shining really bright, and challenging conditions for the athletes under the sun. And she also was saying something about the wind. But just on stats, I just wanted to say that Lin Zixiang from Taipei, he is the 3rd archer, and we were even talking about shooting order and all. Already from the FQT, he wasn't the most reliable archer, and in this match, he is by quite a stretch the worst performing archer. Not really ideal to have such a guy performing like that, being the last one, right? And they just gave up the set. He could have shot a 9 for set split, and he shot an 8, so not ideal for Taipei.
Yeah, that is tough, figuring out that order. We know in talking with Socha-Wan yesterday from Korea, she was telling us that they practice team rounds as a group because they're all in the same center. Every day they practice team rounds. And so you get into a rhythm, get into an order. So, you know, a lot different than you would have on the USA archery side of things, where I would imagine, Justin, that at this point you only get together to shoot team rounds every so often during the course of the year.
Yeah, it really depends on what team, when the teams are selected, and how long before that tournament comes, and if you guys are able to, you know, get together. And like the case of me, Rod, and Butch, we all lived in the same at the Olympic Training Center, so it was easy to do simulations quite a bit leading up to the games.
So for Chinese Taipei, all 9s across the board, as now China will step up. So take a look at that, I don't know, reticle, I guess you could say. See how close it is to the inside of the riser?
I mean, that would have to do a lot with string alignment. The tune of his arrow can also affect where the aperture is. There's, you know, I tend to have my aperture kind of a little bit more inside like that as well. And where you'll tend to see a lot of people with their aperture more out to the left. It has to do with where their string alignment is mainly.
So the door is kind of wide open for China, but an 8-9 so far is not giving them any commanding lead, although that 10 will even things up at 27 apiece as we're halfway through this 3rd end. On the feed that we're watching, they're calling it set 3, but generally in archery, what we call it when a group of arrows is shot and then scored, we call it an end. And that varies, by the way, from game to game. The game we're playing here in the men's team finals is going to be 6 arrows for each end for each team. We shoot indoor rounds. They could be 3. We shoot field archery. They could be 3 or 4, depending on the organization. So that's basically how you define that. Ooh, just high off 10, good solid 10, but just outside that X ring. So Taipei right now on a good run, 9, 9, 9, 9, 10. And another 9. Good solid groups by the team, all in the gold. Oh, wait. I saw that as a 9. They're calling it on our feed an 8.
No, I saw it at 8 as well. I think that's an 8. The
Oh,
shadow
was it
is
8?
making
Okay.
tricky to see. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm old. Hold on. Let me get out the glasses again. There we go.
Should keep them on for the whole session.
Now they're readers, though. That's the problem. It makes everything look weird. That was a 9, right? Pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
That was a 9.
Yeah. Okay, so for China to advance to the next round. Oh, in the 10 ring. What a shot. So, Jim, you have it as 56-54. That means that China is going to go 5-1 for the win. We have to wait for the official scoring, of course. Judges are down at the target, so once the field of play, the buzzers go off and basically say, bows down. Judges will go out there as well as, in motorcycles we call them a minder, but what do we call them? An agent, I guess, Justin, right? An agent in archery?
Yeah, the archer's agent.
So what do they do? What do the agents do when they're down at the targets, Justin?
They're just vouching for you to make sure that the scoring the way that you shot the arrows and nothing funny is happening down there. That if there's a close call, that they make sure the judge will call it. Well, not correctly, but they're just down there to be. Since you can't walk down and do it yourself, they're just
they're like your advocate,
on
right?
your side.
Yeah. And are they saying people that pull your arrows as well to get your arrows back, or do they have people at this level that will do it for you?
No, they pull your arrows. And then, sometimes if you have an arrow that is outside the group, they don't take time to necessarily look at it unless they see something obvious like a knock broken or a vein coming off. They'll take the arrow and flip it around backwards and send them to you that way you can take a look at them, or usually your coach will grab the arrows and look at them, so that way you don't have to think about it and just make sure the arrow's good to go before you put them in your quiver and shoot them again.
All right, so this is single round eliminations. So for Chinese Taipei, they are out of this men's team final. And we'll wait to see how that ends up for them in the overall rankings. But it's going to be China that moves on to the semifinals. So that means that China, who, by the way, overall in these games leads the medal count. They have 9 medals so far, does China. 5 of those are gold. So as of this moment that we're talking, China has the most gold medals. If Korea could win this one, Bernardo, then South Korea could move to the top of the list with China, because they currently have 4 gold medals. One of them, of course, they earned yesterday in the women's team competition. And they would, if they could win this one today, they'd be sitting on 5. So the U.S. has 12 total medals right now. So medal count total, the U.S. leads the way, but with 3 gold medals versus China's got 5, Japan's got 4. Of course, Japan's in it too. They could win another gold medal and get up there on the gold medal count. And Australia with 4th place with 4 gold medals as well. So as the days roll on with these games, more and more countries are racking up the medal count. Of course, this is archery. There's a good look on our feed. We're seeing a good look at the wind. So Justin, taking a look at that wind. It's really hard to determine, isn't it, when you have a stadium? So can you describe to us what the 1996 shooting venue was like compared to what you're seeing on our feed coming from Paris?
Yeah, the shooting stadiums have definitely evolved. When we shot, they were U-shaped, but it was a much broader, wider U. They had 8 targets down there because now they shoot one match at a time, and that's what takes so long to get through the Olympic Games now. Whereas in '96, they would, early on in the first few rounds, they would shoot 4 matches at a time, and so that the field was a little bit bigger, and that was a little more advantageous for the win because it just allowed a little more breathing room for it to be more consistent. When you have a venue like this and you have tight stands like that, and you have a little wall behind the target as like a dam, you can get some swirling and different kinds of wind that you don't even see, that the flags don't pick up. And so sometimes you got to be careful. And that was what, these athletes went in, did some familiarization before the games to kind of be able to maybe pick up on some of those wind cues.
So, Bernardo, you got any stats for us after that match?
Yeah, on Taipei and China, you mean, or up already for Korea, Japan?
On Taipei, China.
Yeah, just on all measures, China really beat Taipei. Like the best Taipei had was one of their archers. He had an average that was the same by one of the Chinese archers, but the other two, they really outscored the other two. And yeah, Taipei just shot worse than they did in the morning. Like they were feeling pumped up after their morning performance. They dispatched Great Britain 6-0. But they couldn't repeat the magic. And you sometimes, and I'd like to hear Lloyd and Justin on this, but like usually I felt that the first match is usually an icebreaker. So I think that having a bye can be tricky, but it's not the case that we saw here. China had a bye and they just were so strong off the blocks, and Taipei, who had the match earlier, they were the ones struggling.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't like the bye. I like to have a couple matches or a match as a little warm-up match for sure, to kind of ease the nerves a little bit, get used to the venue. Sometimes having that bye can be difficult. But then if you run up against someone that just shoots really well and takes you out, then you obviously wish you had the bye.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, look at the comment we have down below, Bernardo.
Yeah, well, I have to say that's my mom. Hey, Mom, thanks for joining. Yesterday, before we went on air, you were talking about your mom, right, Greg? And yeah, so here's Mom joining the watch party.
My mom actually watched yesterday. Listen, I've been commentating motorcycle racing for 20. I've been commentating motorcycle racing for 28 years. I don't think she's watched in probably 20 years. You know what I mean? Like she kind of got over it at some point. But yesterday, I got a text afterwards, and she said that it was great. She's a big fan of yours, by the way. My mom. She thinks you're very handsome.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, come on. That flatters me. I appreciate that.
No, I was explaining to her that you have a filter on and that it's an internet feed, so it gets a little bit grainy at times.
It's AI. No, it's an AI filter, yeah.
It's an AI filter. I got to get one of those. All right, so athletes are on the field of play right now as they're introducing them to the crowd. As the crowd continues to fill up, we expect by the time we get to the gold medal match that the stands are going to be absolutely packed. It is a Monday, though, so I'm not sure. I would imagine, Justin, when you were in Atlanta, I actually moved to Atlanta right after the Olympics happened, and I remember all the infrastructure and things that were done to the area to accommodate the crowds they thought they were going to have. And what ended up happening was that most of the locals left and put their houses up for rent, so you didn't have like this massive influx of people. But do you remember shooting during the week and having big crowds, because basically anything in Atlanta at that time, like work-wise, was relatively shut down because the games were in town?
Yeah, the stadium was full for every session. It was jam-packed every time. I think I don't know if the Olympics do it this way now, but usually when you get tickets and you try to buy like tickets for track and field or gymnastics, you have to buy a block of tickets, and they'll force you to buy archery or badminton, things like that, to help kind of fill the stadium that way. So they have their own way of dispersing the tickets, and so people end up going to sports that they would normally not go, and then once they go, wow, I'm really glad we went. That was really cool seeing that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, some of the biggest superstars we have on the men's side of things getting ready to shoot. Bernardo, you're familiar with these three on the Korean team?
Absolutely. Dream team, really. Like, they're all so experienced. They have been around for so long. Even Kim Jae-duk, who's super young, we have to bear in mind that this is already his second time at the Olympic Games. And the last time out in Tokyo, he led the qualification round. He's really a genius rookie from Korea and teamed up with Kim Woo-jin and Liu Sok. Oh, and there we see him screaming. Not very characteristic from the Koreans, but we already saw him doing that in Tokyo. This is definitely the team to beat.
Yeah, they're definitely on some momentum, and just a little bit low 9, but still 10-10-9 right out of the box. Obviously, the communication's really good. But the thing that's impressive is that this team is got so much experience. The Korean system doesn't care about your legacy, which I think is really interesting. Doesn't matter you've been to the games before. It doesn't matter how you did last year. This system is all based on your performance as close as they can get it to the games. And the fact that these three are still in the mix is impressive. But Japan is a country that is a bit of a sleeper country, right? Like, it's like a lot of people don't talk about Japan, Bernardo, but these athletes right here, they can pour it on, and they could make a march to the gold. Well,
yeah,
and 7, but
commentator's curse hitting once again, right? Yeah. To me, I think you put it perfectly. I really have this feeling as well that Japan is a sleeper country. It's like whenever someone asks, like, what are the best teams in the world? We never think of Japan straight away, you know. But then you look and they win so many Olympic medals. Furukawa, he's a medalist from London. They won 2 medals in Tokyo. And I was just looking out before. The semifinal in Tokyo was Korea and Japan, and it went down to a shoot-off. They shot the same score, and Korea had the closer arrow to the center. So that was a really tight one, and we shouldn't rule Japan out just yet.
No. So looking at the shooting, looking at the energy level right now, Justin, what are you seeing from this team in white?
Well, Korea is just a powerhouse. I mean, my opinion is they're just gonna breeze right through all the way to the gold medal. But you know, Kim Woo-jin's one of my favorite archers. Kim Jae-duk is one. Lee Woo-suk. I mean, all three of them are arguably, you know, everyone's favorite shooters, favorite form. I mean, they all have things that we all wish as archers that we had in our own repertoire. And I just don't see, even though you think Japan and other countries might have a chance, I just don't see it this time. I believe they're going to be going for their 7th title.
And Lloyd, from your perspective, this archer, last time he was up, shot a 7. Do you say anything as a coach this early on in the match, or do you just let them be and deal with it on their own as a team?
No, I'd usually say something to him. Usually, kind of just let him know, hey, it's okay. Just keep going. You know, that happens. You know, it happens, and because you don't want him to start to really dwell on that and really start thinking about that, or get caught up in a bunch of negative thoughts and a downward spiral. You got to let him know that, hey, you know, we're still in the game. There's still a match to play here. There's still an opportunity to win. You know, and carry on, get on with it.
Well, we got a treat. Vanessa Lee is standing by right now, so let's go ahead. Hey, Vanessa. So,
hey guys.
Looks a little bit warm. Doesn't look like the wind is as bad, but we got a match going on right now with one of your favorite teams. So, how are things today?
Yeah, it is hot, like H-O-T, capital letters, hot. The wind is not really that strong. There's maybe a slight breeze coming from the back to left, and really exciting. I just left the tent from where Korea and Japan were waiting before they stepped on, and both teams looked very focused and quite serious, but hopefully they're getting the nerves out a little bit right now.
And how do you see the stands filling up right now? Because it looks, even on a Monday morning, it looks pretty, or I guess Monday afternoon where you are, pretty busy at this point.
Packed. Completely packed. Lineups waiting to get in, to go through security, people getting snacks on the way up. They're going to be in the sun all afternoon, and it's probably like Celsius, sorry guys, but like 35 degrees Celsius right now. So many people are here. It's incredibly loud. Korea shot a 10 on their first arrow. Just roar throughout the entire place.
So I'm curious, Justin, who's on our panel, Justin Hewish is here, Vanessa, and one of the things that he was talking about when he was shooting in Atlanta was like kind of in those moments when the crowd starts to quiet down, that there were random people that would like yell, go Justin, you're the man, go USA. Are you finding that that's kind of the same thing that's going on in this crowd, and those as the hush of the crowd goes down, every now and then you'll just hear somebody belt out?
First of all, Justin, iconic. It's so nice to be on a call with you. I've been a fan for a real long time. So thanks for having me. I would love to hang out with you in person one day. But most of the people here, the crowd, even though a lot of them haven't seen archery in their lives, they're starting to catch on. In the women's matches yesterday, there were some people who were really getting excited and trying to cheer a little bit more, but then other like crowd members would kind of hush them, and then they kind of realize, okay, there's a time and a place for cheering, and I can kind of quiet it down when I need to.
And you've been in those areas where the athletes hang out and chill and get ready for matches. Does this particular tent where the athletes are hanging out feel different from when you're at like a World Archery event, one of the World Cups that we have normally?
Yeah. So, okay, something just happened. I don't know if you could hear that, but it's intense in there. It's darker, which kind of like sets the mood. There's a row. Okay, so imagine like this rectangle. You walk in, there's 3 seats right by the exit on this side, and there's 3 seats right by the exit. So they're completely facing each other. There's 2 TVs at the end of those rows, so they're watching those TVs. But if you're not watching the TV, you're directly facing the person that you're going to be shooting against. The bows are kind of in the middle of that, and then there's a curtain where they go through. There's a holding area where it's like all of that blue box that you see on TV, and then there's another curtain that they open up right there. It's intense in there.
Impressive. So, by the way, what just happened, Vanessa, is Japan went 9-9-9, and then Lee shows up to shoot his first arrow. He had to let down and reset, and then he ended up nailing a 10. So they just got through their first 3 arrows. Did South Korea 10-10-10 for them? So at the halfway point of the second end, they have a 3-point lead. We're going to let you get back to it. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk to you again. I hope we do today. If not, then we'll definitely see you at the end of the week on Friday. Keep that content going, Vanessa. You are crushing it, doing a great job. Thanks for keeping us informed. Make sure you check out World Archery's Instagram page. Vanessa's running it, doing a great job. Thanks so much, kid.
Thanks, guys.
Later. All right. So, Justin.
Sounds like the organizers set up that little mix zone where the archers are sitting there waiting to go up and shoot, like on purpose, to kind of create a little bit of drama face to face. They could set up logistically all different kinds of ways, and sounds like they're just being a little bit mean.
Hey, look, we do that in motorcycle racing. So in the paddock where the teams set up their semis, we take the number one in points and the number 2 in points, and we put them straight across from each other. So they have to stare at each other for 3 days working on motorcycle, and it gets a little intense. It gets a little chippy. It's kind of fun. But Justin, let's go back to what happened in the first arrow of this end for Korea. Archer had to let down. There's a 2-minute clock. How do you deal with that from an archer's a competitor standpoint? How do you deal with shaking that off?
Well, nowadays, because the timing that they give you is so little compared to when we were at the games, they gave us 40 seconds an arrow, and now it's down to 20. So when you let down, it really starts putting a little bit of pressure on the archers after you to be able to get your arrows off. And with Koreans, you typically don't see them let down like that. And so it kind of shows that Lee didn't like what he felt, or maybe a little bit of pressure was getting to him and he wanted to let down and pull back. So, I always prefer more time, but I understand for TV viewing, that's what they do. I feel like they should give us a little extra time because you want the archer to get off the best arrow possible and not be forced to shoot a shot that they don't like the feeling of. So it's really hard to say why he let down, but it creates a little bit of drama for sure.
It does, and the thing when you let down, and Lloyd, this, and I'm sure that you talk to your athletes about this, especially more in your qualification rounds when you have more time to execute your 6 arrows per end. It's like if you let down and then you shoot a 10, which is what happened in this case, that's a good letdown, isn't it? Which for the normal person to say that's a good letdown kind of sounds weird, but for archers that makes sense.
Yeah, you kind of, so there are sometimes, it's not ideal to let down, but there are sometimes where just something isn't right and you need to let down and you need to hopefully be okay with that. They still had plenty of time. They ended up with a 59 and they still had 10 seconds to spare. So there was plenty of time there. But yeah, sometimes you got to let down and do a do-over and make sure you get it right.
Lloyd, did you see there right before the last arrow was shot for Korea? That like it was the team that were communicating, and then there was a little bit of a hand signal saying, "Hey, I got this. Don't worry about it." Like that was a little something I picked up. But anyway, Korea leads right now 4-0. So if Japan's going to have a chance, they got to do exactly what they just did and just put them all in the middle to put the pressure on Korea, because for Korea, shooting a 59 in a team round in an end out of a possible 60 points is just massive.
They don't leave you a lot of room to work with there.
No, they don't. Oh, Jim, what do you think, Chrisman?
I think it's out.
It's a 9.
I think it's out. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
It says
me
it's a
too.
9. We'll see. Ooh. Oh, that was
like
not
a lucky shot there.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah.
Oh, funny thing is, he shot an arrow like this today in the morning, and it was a 10. But this is the kind of thing that you don't get away with it too many times. You do it once and it hits the 10, but if you keep on doing it, eventually, things will go wrong, and it's just what happened.
In case you're just joining us, this is the men's team final here at the Games in Paris 2024. We're live with our panel, Justin Hewish, 1996 double gold medal winner. First person to do that in archery, I believe, at the time. Lloyd Brown, his coach, actually, and this was just a random thing that ended up happening, with us as well, just above Justin, who's bottom left hand of your screen. Jim Chrisman is our scorekeeper. He's dragging all the arrows, and he's upper left now. And then, of course, we have Bernardo Oliveira, Olympian himself, who's in Switzerland, who is our statistician and adding a tremendous amount, because the guy has got a steel trap for a memory. And make no mistake, Bernardo's mom is watching. So be careful what you say, pal. And we are in our second match. Yeah, we're in our second match of the day in our quarterfinals match, as we figure out who's going to get into the medal matches that'll be coming up. So the way it works is basically we're going through these 4 matches. That'll determine each winner goes to shoot off in their respective brackets, and the winner of that goes to the gold medal, and the loser goes to the bronze. And right now, with what Korea is accomplishing against Japan, the favorite of this match at this point is definitely going to be Korea. It's 5 set points to win. If you're watching the feed or watching our footage right here, you can see just on the right side of our scoring block down at the bottom of your screen is our set point system. First of 5 wins. If Korea is able to win this set outright, they'll go 6-0. Ooh, left side 10.
What are the ages?
So far,
what are the
Korea,
ages of the Koreans?
The ages of the Koreans? Bernardo, do you have that information?
Kim Woo-jin is like a year older than me. He should be like 32. Liu Sok, I think he's like 27, 26. And Kim Jae-dok is like 18. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but it's somewhere around that.
$57 to a 54 unofficially. That's going to give Korea the nod to move to the next round of the men's team competition. So we've got a match off, or a shoot off, like a match against. It's going to be Korea and China, which we know was the gold medal match in yesterday's women's final. Still coming up after this. We're going to have India, Turkey, and then we're going to have Italy versus France. So an all-European affair coming up with the home crowd, I'm sure, going to go absolutely ballistic for their French team. So checking out our feed, you can see the left part of your screen was our first match of the day. That was China versus Chinese Taipei and a 5-1 victory. Also in the middle part of your screen, we have Jim that's plotting all of our arrows. You can really see the distinction between the arrow groups during the course of our matches, and we give you the points average. So that's basically the average per arrow shot for the team, as well as the amount of 10s that are shot. I mean, look at this match for Korea. Justin, 11 10s versus Japan's 3 10s. Now, in the set point scoring system, that is not necessarily the end of the world if you have more or if you have less 10s than another team, but 11-3, that's just hard to combat, isn't it?
100%. And that's why I'm picking them to go all the way, because they're just they tend to just start getting better and better as the matches go on. And you know, coming up next to China, they're just not going to fear them at all. And I think they're just going to go on cruise control all the way to the finals. The second half of the bracket is going to be really interesting, because 3 of the 4 teams that are left on that bracket have never medaled in the games. You have France, Turkey, and India. And so for me personally, even though I think Korea will win it, it'd be nice to see one of those countries get their first team medal.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when we get to Turkey, which is coming up next, we have Metagazos, who of course was the I guess the reigning gold medalist for the Olympics. And the over the last couple of years, it's been a matter of kind of taking the people, the other shooters on the Turkish team and dragging them up towards his level. So Turkey could definitely surprise us, you know, in these matches. Although, you know, it's so hard to say. I mean, you've mentioned it before. These are the games. I mean, this is the biggest tournament that the world has to offer for archery, and all the athletes that make it to this level are top notch. The issue, of course, with the team qualification or the team rounds is the qualifications as well. And, you know, when we look at the qualification, Lloyd, how do we determine that Korea was the number 1 seed, that France was the number 2 seed, that India was the number 3 seed? How do we determine that?
Just comes off the qualification round day, which was done before the opening ceremonies, before the Olympics started on qualification. And just all the archers were on the field. Everybody shot 72 arrows, and they take the 3 team members' score total to rank them, which puts them in their seed 1 through 12.
So for Korea, they were able to score a total with their 3 archers combined of 2,049 points. France at 2,025 points. India at 2,013 for the number 3 seed. And so that's really what you talk about is if you have that one archer, you know, Bernardo, you've talked about it, that one archer that might not be as high as the other 2 archers, where you place them or relying on your team is really important. So what about statistics from that match? Do you have some things to let us in on?
Well, there was something funny that was happening until the end of the match, but then with the last arrow, it just changed. But Kim Woo-jin, he was the worst performing archer in the Korean team, but then with the last end, he matched Liu Sok. But I was just thinking to myself that, like, man, if you have a team where Kim Woo-jin is the worst one, like the worst performing archer, like, what does this say about your team, you know? It's like Korea
when
is
you're the
Korea.
worst of the best, right? Like that's the thing,
Yeah.
the worst of the best. It's like, well, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we shot well despite Kim Woo-jin just dropping some points, you know. It's hard shooting with that guy.
Yeah, just not fair.
yeah, right.
Usually teams, you'll have your one good superstar from your country that everybody knows, and then you have 2 good shooters, and that makes a good team. But Korea has 3 superstars on this team, which makes them really strong. I mean, we know every one of them are top archer.
Yeah,
it's
case in
crazy.
point, the Turkish team, right, with Metagazos, like that's really it. People know it. They're starting to get some recognition across the board. We've seen some other archers on the recurve side from Turkey make some finals in the World Archery World Cups this year, which has been good. But for the most part, this guy is Metagazos is kind of a world star at this point, especially because of what he was able to accomplish in the last games. So here we go. India being introduced. Another country that's really archery across the board, especially with World Archery. Of course, World Archery is the de facto standard for archery around the world. And so if you're watching this for the first time, archery does get shot all year, all the time, every year as we lead up to these games. And it's World Archery who's running this. And of course, you're on World Archery's YouTube channel if you're watching our men's team finals watch along. It's Archery in Paris. You can hashtag that as well if you're watching. Thank you, everybody, for the comments that are coming across the screen. You can comment in the comment section here on YouTube, or you could tag us in a post on the X platform at World Archery. If you have a question for our panel about anything that you're seeing archery-wise, we're watching the feed along with you. So if you're watching us on YouTube and you'd like to, watch along as well, make sure that you check out, your local provider to find out where this coverage is from the games. And let's see. If you're watching in Turkey, you can watch coverage on TRT network. If you're in India, you can watch on Viacom 18 or Doordarshan. So there you go. Some information for you if you want to watch along with us. So we have people that are watching on an iPad, on their phone, on a computer with split screen, going back and forth. But we appreciate you all joining us as we are in our third match in the quarterfinals for the men's team. Jim Chrisman up top, Lloyd Brown in the middle, and of course, the legend himself, two-time gold medalist in the same games, Justin Hewish. And then next to me, I'm Greg. And then next to me is Bernardo Oliveira, who's keeping our stats for us for this tournament. Anything, Bernardo, that we should know going in stats-wise about these two teams that stands out to you, or are we pretty much just on the roll?
India on both teams, honestly. But India defeated Korea in the first stage of the World Cup this year in Shanghai, so that was a feat. And Turkey, they are the current silver medalists in the World Championships. But yeah, we'll see whether any of them can challenge Korea. But first, they got to make it in the semifinal, and we're about to find out who goes through.
Justin, do you find in team competition, especially at games this big, that momentum exists? Can teams, like we saw Korea come out and really dominate, are they going to have momentum going to the next match, or because of the time between matches you cool down? What do you find?
I don't know if there's momentum necessarily, but when you're a team like Korea, you're gaining your reputation out there, and sometimes you win off that reputation. So if you go out and put a solid performance, these other teams are taking notice of that, and that can get into the mind of the team and help, propel you and give you a little bit of momentum mainly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So India comes out 9-10 and then a 7 left. And there's Metagazos. And Gazos starts off, gets his team on the right track. Justin, do you feel like shooting a 10, leading off in a match is an important tone setter, or is it just another arrow?
100%, because when you see the 10 down there when you're shooting, when you get up there, and so it just kind of helps your focal point and allows you just to drain one right next to it. And this Turkish team is very interesting because even the Koreans, they all shoot distinctly different, and the Turkish Federation has done a lot to create a form based off what Metagazos does, and these are little carbon copies, each of them, and it's all the way down to the hat and how the follow through and everything. So it's very interesting watching them.
Interesting, though, how anything can happen to any archer, because Mete on his match this morning, on his first arrow out, shot a 6. And here he is, a world champion, #1 in the world, Olympic gold medalist, and that's how he started his team round. It's kind of crazy. But he certainly opened up this one well with a solid 10.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch kind of these opening arrows as well. Like yesterday, I think it was more intense on the opening arrows as a scouting arrow because the wind was blowing in such a different way. But now, with the wind being much calmer, I mean, you can see the flag in our coverage. We can see the flag down at the target itself, and it looks nearly still. That things feel a lot different. We're seeing the first end of competition with these top teams, the score being a lot higher than we saw yesterday in the women's team final. And I think it was mostly, you have nerves obviously in front of the crowd, but also look at the group that Turkey's able to put up on the board right now. I mean, they are dialed in as a team, going 10, 9, 10, 10 so far. Ooh, Jim, how are you going to call that one? That looks like a 10 to me, maybe. I don't know.
That's definitely in.
Yeah, that's in.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. The first hiccup on what looked like a perfect target. Still, though, first end domination, 57, even coming off of an 8 to a 53 by India. That's going to give Turkey the 2-0 set point advantage as we head into our second end of arrows. And for sure, what you don't want to do is let Turkey get another couple set points. India definitely has got to step up and figure some stuff out. So, Lloyd, we can see from our feed that the coach from India is having a quick talk with his athletes, and the athletes don't look like they're paying attention at all. You experienced things like that before?
Yeah, it does happen. And, the dynamics of every team and the team coach are always different. So you can get that sometimes.
I'm dying to ask you, Lloyd, since, you worked with Justin Hewish as a coach, and who's the best athlete you ever coached, and why were they the best?
Actually, I would say Justin, and the reason was because he would feed back. A lot of archers just listen to you, but Justin would say, if I like that or I don't like that, or that just doesn't work for me, or instead of just keep doing what you're telling them or talking to them about. So there was a really good two-way communication that kind of helped sort things. And a lot of times he would act like he wasn't listening, but then I could tell later on that he was, and he would say something as well, but you could tell because things would change. I think the best part about watching Justin is, like, whenever we're at a competition, he's watching everybody else, and by the end of that competition, he'll know which arrow rests, what everybody has on the field, because he wants to see what the best are doing and make sure he's not missing anything.
Yeah, and if you want a bit of entertainment, for sure, what you got to do is just go look at just Google Justin Hewish, 1996. Did you shoot with your hat on backwards back then too, bro?
I've always had my hat on backwards since I was in grade school.
It's awesome. You must have grown up like skateboarding or surfing or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I did it. A lot of times it's because you have the bill on forward. I'd always hit my head on things because you can't see stuff. So I flip it backwards just so I quit bumping my head on objects. But just kind of, Mete has his own, he wears a hat a certain way too. And it just, once you get that, you kind of want to stick with it. Jay Bars was the same way. When he made his run in the gold medal, he had his own kind of hat, and just kind of sticks with you.
Plus, it also gives you kind of a distinct look as well. It's easy for people to pick you out.
And I can't have a hat forward. My string hits it. I don't know how people shoot with a hat forward. It just doesn't work for me.
All right, so 9-9 for Turkey. They drift wide, but India on the 8-9-8 still India just can't find the rhythm that they need. We'll see if this arrow really kicks them off, if they can get into the gold, into the 10 ring. I mean, from my perspective, the shot execution looked great. I mean, everything looked like it worked well. It's just not hitting where they need them to hit.
Yeah, I really expected India to bring it a little bit more than they are right now.
Jim, you going 10 or 9 on that one?
110 on that one. I believe you got it.
All right. Yeah, I think so. All right, 9 on that. So that's going to take us to what? 52 points. Turkey to go up 4-0. Doesn't need to have a great last half of this end. Just kind of do what they're doing right now. A little bit of movement after the shot. Still lands in the gold. Lloyd, am I?
What?
They changed the order from the first end, didn't they?
They are kind of a sandwiching. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So like, didn't Metagazo start off and he just anchored that arrow?
Yeah, it looks like it. I
Yeah,
have seen a few other teams do
Bernardo?
that.
Sorry, sorry, Lloyd. They've been doing this since the morning. So the U.S. team did this a few times with Brady. That like when you have such a strong and renowned archer, then he shoots first and last. So in the first rotation, Mete shoots first. The second rotation, he shoots last. So kind of a sandwiching the other teammates, you know. So you kind of get the best. You know, you have a strong opening and a strong finish. Yeah, I've seen the U.S. do this with Brady as well.
That's interesting strategy, though, Lloyd. I would think that you'd have to really understand your athlete's mindset, because that might tell your other athletes, this guy's better than all you guys. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think they all know that, and they want the team to do their best. And I think you want to have that best guy up there first, like Jess said. You know, if you get that first arrow in the 10, then everybody else has something to aim at, and then you definitely want the guy you know you can count on shooting that last arrow, especially because sometimes that's going to be the highest pressure arrow. So they know who that archer is. I think everybody on the team knows who that archer is, and they'll just respect that and go with it. And
Yeah,
I don't think anybody would be upset by it. A lot of times you don't want that pressure.
that is true. Let's give it to the guy who loves it all the pressure. Yeah, I'll go first and last arrow each end. Perfect.
That's right.
So 4-0 lead for Turkey in this one. India starts off with a 9. And looking at what our guy Jim Chrisman is doing, you can see that the part of the tale of this match for sure is the fact that with Turkey and India, there's a difference in the 10s as well. I'm actually surprised to see that many 10s from India. They just it hasn't felt like they've been shooting that well. This is set scoring system, so basically each time we shoot 6 arrows, whoever wins on score gets 2 set points. First set points to 5 wins. If they tied on points, we'd go 1 single set point apiece. So the situation that Turkey is in right now is they either win this 6 arrows outright, or if they tie with India, they still win the match and advance to our semifinals. And that's the point of that, right? That's what you want, starting off with a 10.
Yeah, Mete is one of the best archers at long holds and still hitting 10s. Most of the time, that doesn't really work out for an archer.
would you ever, Justin, would you ever train or Lloyd train with devices that would kind of break down that shot process? Like, did you, before all these electronic devices available, like I have one that's sitting on my compound bow that tells me the exact movement of my bow during the entire process and tells me how many seconds, like my shot process is from the release. And it also gives me after the shot, the movement of my bow. Would you ever do that stuff back in the day just to say, okay, look, I know that my shot process is 9 seconds. I know that Rod's shot process is 7 seconds. I know, would you ever break it down to that finite of detail?
I don't think we examined it. I think we kind of knew it from observation. And every so often we'd have our sports science team from the U.S. Olympic Committee come and do little studies at the Olympic Training Center with our national team that would give us some information like that.
Well, I'd be in practice sometimes getting ready for a tournament, and Lloyd would take his binoculars and actually look at my point and my clicker with his binoculars, and he could see by the movement of my expansion. He would come up to me and goes, "Man, you're gonna kill it today. You're on." And just by looking at that one little bit of movement, he could tell. And if I wasn't doing it, he'd be like, "Hey, you got to get with it. It's not looking so good."
So Lloyd, was that the truth, or you were ghost coaching him?
No, I had this way of when I watch him shoot, even in Olympic games, I can even see it in my mind right now, looking through my binoculars, and if I could just see, I could see his hand on the side of his face, and I can also see the clicker and see the arrow coming through the clicker. And when he would start, he'd set it up, and Justin kind of held too long, like he knows, but then once he would start moving, it would just never stop. And when you see that come back, the arrow come through the clicker and his hand just keep moving back here, you just knew it was going to be on. Nothing could go wrong when he did that. And that's kind of, what we, worked on that's all he needed to do. And then it was going to be a good shot. He was never going to have a mistake.
All right. So in our match, by the way, the doors open after that 7 in that penultimate arrow. Gazos sends one just like a millimeter or 2 wide in the 9 ring. And so it looks like India is going to take the set, and we're going to go 2-4. Obviously, we're waiting for official scoring. That Gazos area, I don't know, Jim, it looked like kind of close to me. And
It's
there's
real close.
The eagle eye on our footage showing the arrow impacts, but Jim's is way better. It's more accurate than what we're seeing on our feed.
Ooh, so close there.
That arrow, yeah, the one he just marked.
No official results yet. Metes, I have here Metes was 10. Yeah, so it should be over.
So the last arrow, they upgraded it to a 10?
Yeah, from what I'm getting here, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's it. It should be over because then they would tie with India 55-55. That's going to give them a 5-1 victory. It was that 7 that caused that arrow right there that we're watching on our feed. That's what caused the holding of the breath.
Yeah, but looking at the averages of each archer in this match, Birkin Toomer, who dropped that last 7, he was shooting so well, and to the point that even with that 7, he had the same average as Gazos. So really, he had 4 10s, 1 9, and 1 7. So despite the 7, he still had a strong average. No, they're ready for another set.
They're ready for another one. So they're continuing on. Yep. So that must have been they must have kept that as a 9.
No, actually, the difference I'm seeing here is that Gazos' first arrow that initially was plotted as a 10 has been downgraded to a 9. So that's what made the difference.
His first arrow got downgraded to a 9. His last arrow got upgraded to a 10.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we continue on. So it's now 2-4 in favor of Turkey. Same situation. If Turkey wins outright, they're going to win 6-2. If they tie, Turkey will win 5-1. If India wins, we're going to a shoot off. And then we'll explain all that to you in a moment, if that happens. Shoot offs are fun. They're exciting. I love them personally. I'm sure archers don't like them.
Yeah, I love to watch them. I don't like to actually be in them. I'm sure Bernardo feels the same way.
Yeah. There was only one shoot off that I came into it feeling like I've got this, you know. But yeah, all other times it's like, man, didn't want to be going through this. But for watching,
As
it's
an
amazing. I love it.
individual shooter, I actually love shoot offs personally. Like, I like the pressure, I like the excitement of it. I'm not sure I would like a shoot off in a team match, probably because, you know, 2 arrows in the shoot off are out of my control. Does that make sense?
Oh, that one's in.
Good luck,
that
Jim.
One's in.
Is it in?
That one's
All
in. His heart rate was racing on that one.
He's human.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt about
Nice
that one.
X.
I think that one was in.
Thanks, Lloyd. I didn't even need my glasses. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, for India, obviously that arrow, the first arrow is going to be an important arrow call. As right now, Turkey has a 1-point advantage at the halfway point of this end. India definitely has picked up the pace. They're more in the gold, but these next 2 arrows are going to be massively important if they want to keep their hopes alive, continuing to march towards a gold medal. 10s here for these last 2 shooters going to be important. First one in. No pressure. Oh, left 7. That'll sting.
That's over for them.
What? Nothing from our producers? Wah, wah, wah. Ouch, the pain.
Oh.
Wow. Good 10. Easy now, just keep it in gold. Last time this shooter was in that position, he shot a 7. Gets a 9. Good. Oof. 2 seconds. 1 second. Oh, come on, Justin. Tell me about that one.
Like I said, he is the king of long holds. It's amazing how he does that. I just don't understand it. But hey, they're into a medal match of some sort at this point. Good for Turkey.
Wow. That is so impressive. If you think about all the variables you have in Olympic recurve, I mean, one is the clicker that we talked about, you know, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about what a clicker is. But the fact that you're holding there, your teammates or your coach is probably saying 5, 4, 3, 2, and you're still able to execute that shot and put it in the middle. It's incredible. Really incredible.
And we were talking about the earlier matches, the morning matches, and already Mete, he did this like 2 or 3 times in the morning. So it's kind of like he's really comfortable with that, or he's really playing it dangerously, you know, like flirting with disaster. But so far, so good. It's been working, and in Turkey is through.
Yeah, Turkey is through. So now Turkey is going to go up against either Italy or France coming down the pipe. We know that it's going to be Korea versus China in our semifinal match coming up right after this. Next match that we have coming up between Italy and France. So an all-European matchup. As we get more comments down below, congrats to Turkey. Amazing. All right. Italy, France. I'm curious. Justin, Bernardo, any thoughts on who might come out victorious on this one? Because you guys know that when you're at these games in your home, it can definitely elevate your game. I mean, statistics over the years have proven that more times than not, an underdog from the host country ends up, getting a win more so than just general underdogs. So, what do you think?
I definitely think that obviously the home crowd will be beneficial for France, but you can't count out Italy. I mean, they've medaled at 4 of these team rounds in the past, and Mauro Nespoli was definitely a pillar of that team, so he's definitely one to watch out for. So I think that kind of neutralizes each other. So this should be a good match.
Yeah, the match today in the morning by Italy wasn't very convincing. Like it was a little bit underwhelming, and they beat, who was it, in a shoot-off? Kazakhstan in a shoot-off. But it's super cool information that I got from Vanessa. She texted me. She said that in the call room, in the waiting room, she was really impressed with the energy that she could feel from Baptiste Adiz, the 17-year-old French archer. She said like the his behavior, the vibe that you got around him, it felt like the guy is an Olympic champion, He's like really not feeling the pressure and really looking forward to this match. Well, just look at that. How in the introduction, just, putting his arms up and like, oh, I'm looking forward to this one.
It's going to be a good one. Of course, France comes in as the number 2 qualifier. The 3 of them scored 2,025 points, and Italy comes in as the number 7 qualifier, where they scored 1,990 points. So if you look at the qualification scores, which we know this is a couple days since qualification. Also, it looks like those flags up top that we just saw in our feed, the wind is starting to pick up, possibly. That might be a bit of a question for Vanessa, too. On the field of play, if you look at the feed that we're watching, you can see the windsocks behind the athletes starting to swirl around just a little bit and picking up. And that could definitely have an effect on this match. Communication in team rounds, so important, right, Lloyd? I mean, for your shooters to get that information, especially the first archer, on what the conditions are out there.
Yeah, definitely. And you got to they got to know whether was it a good shot, and then also where were they aiming, and then where did it go. So because you can't tell, somebody's aiming left 8 and it goes left 8, and that's it. Just important to know, so that where you need to aim on the next one. But we also, we watch the previous matches, so that we know where's everybody going on their first arrow, so that we're ready when we get out there as well.
Lloyd, do you feel that positioning on this particular field, from what we're seeing from the feed that we're watching, make a difference whether you're in lane 1 or lane 2 at this point?
I know, a lot of times archers will say that, but I don't usually think there's a difference. But we have seen, in some competitions where you'll see like most of the wins were coming from one lane or the other, which makes you think there's an advantage. But usually, I mean, they're right next to each other. It can't be too much.
Great leadoff arrow for Italy, 10 in the middle. We've seen some indoor competitions, like if you go to Lancaster Archery Classic, for instance, they have a platform and they have lights above. And there's definitely been years where one has favored the other, one side has favored the other, depending on what type of bow you're shooting. But pretty interesting. All right, so 10-10 from Italy. They're coming out of the box strong as an ox. Hey, wait, that was like a rhyme, right? Up, Jim Chrisman. I see a little bit of gold between the 10 ring and the 9 ring, but it's up to you. What are you going to call, tough guy?
I don't think he's got it.
Okay.
But it's real close.
Well, the feed thinks the same thing. They have a 9 asterisks. So we'll see.
He definitely has that one.
France starting off with an X. Eight? Was that one 8?
Yeah, 8 for that one.
And a 9. So unofficially 29-27 Italy with the advantage of the first half of this first end. This is the men's team finals watch along from Archery in Paris. Top part of your screen on the left side is Bernardo Oliveira, who's keeping our stats for us. He's an Olympian in his own right. Lloyd Brown, coaching gold medals in the Olympics in his career. And of course, bottom left there is Justin Hewish, the first archer to earn 2 gold medals in 1 games. And then Jim Chrisman, an accomplished archer, more on the compound 3D side, is keeping our scores for us. I'm Greg White. Thanks for checking us out. If you have any comments, any questions, go ahead and fill them out right there. If you're watching us on YouTube, if Archery Plus, you can go to the X platform and tag us in at World Archery. We'll check that out. Get some comments down below and some questions as this match continues to roll on. Outright goes 8-7 liner for Italy. So unofficially, Italy comes in at a 56, possibly a 57. So for France right here, it's got to be a 3 10s to ensure victory, or it's got to be 2 10s and a 9 to move on. First arrow for France in the second half of this end lands right in the middle 10. Let's see, and if you're watching along and you're asking, where can I find this coverage, this footage? What I do know, if you're in Italy, it's RAI is where this coverage should be. And in France, it's going to be France Télévision. So you can watch along on split screen or another device. Open up another web browser, get it going. Your television. Bernardo, I know you young people don't know what those things are, but there's actually like this thing that like can sit on a wall or something, and it just the only thing it really does is, well, it surfs the internet now, but it shows you moving pictures. It's called a television.
Yeah, I remember those bulky ones that really you had to leave a lot of space behind it, just because the whole thing was so thick, right? And the curved screen. Yeah, I remember when flat screens were a big thing.
When they first came out, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting old. Watched all the movies when I was a kid in VHS.
VHS. Those were the days. Be kind, rewind.
Rewinding the tape. Just shifting the focus to archery, which I think maybe our audience will find it's a little bit more interesting. This is a rematch of the European Championships that we had earlier this year in May in Germany. The occasion, France beat Italy in straight sets, 6-0. But for sure, it's already going to be a different story because now it's Italy ahead in the board with the 2-0 victory. But I wouldn't rule France out just yet because I think they're looking good. They're just adjusting their sights. And as Justin said before, the crowd is the 4th archer in the team.
Thank you for the comment, Marie. We appreciate that. So here we go. Second set, second end, 6 arrows. France leads us off. The trailing team or the trailing archer will be the one that leads off each end. Out left in the 7 ring. That might be his first outside of the gold, actually, so far.
It is indeed. He had 2 10s, now an 8. Not a good start for Team France if they want to put pressure on Italy.
Yeah, no, 9 on the second arrow. Communication, though, coming in from the team. Plenty of time on the clock. Generally, nice 10. What you like to see is at least 60 plus seconds available at the halfway point, being that you have a 120-second shot clock. So 27 for the first half of the second end. Italy's got to come out strong. A 9 is a good start. And another 9. So a 10 here will give him 1 point advantage at the halfway point of this end. And it's a 9 across the board. So 27 apiece. Now France can set the tone for what happens in this second half.
I guess everyone's struggling a little bit with the wind, right? From one side to another, like lots of sideways dispersion, but not a lot of high and low. Oh, that's point on.
Right in the middle in the X ring. Crowd loves it.
That's his third X.
Yeah, right. So 3 X's and 1 8. I mean, he's having a good round. Like I said, I just think the wind just started to pick up in a weird way. So a 9, a 10 here will give him a 57, and that means Italy to win would have to go 3 10s. Got it. Another X for France. Home crowd going berserk.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the audio on that.
Yeah, me too. I'm missing that.
You know. Footage rights and all that stuff. We can't bring it to you. I think that's it, right? So for that 8 for Italy, there's not enough points on the board for them to score enough points to even tie this match. Or this set, sorry. So it looks like it's going to go 2-2 on the score.
Yeah, we just call these practice arrows because they're not going to make any difference. But they can, maybe you can use them to judge what the wind's doing, what anything else is happening, so you can be ready for the next one.
Lloyd, are they going to know? Are the shooters going to know after that first arrow hits, or are they just still just shooting them, like in the moment, just shooting arrows?
For the wind?
No. So obviously the first arrow goes off, and you go, okay, we're at a 9, we're at an 8, or whatever it is. So we're out of it for this particular end. Are they going to know that, or are they just kind of in the process, in the moment, just sending arrows down, and they're not going to know until after the end is over?
Well, they'll probably know. I mean, you've got the announcer there who's announcing every single shot, every arrow value, as well as a big scoreboard there you can see. So you know where you're at. You know if you've already lost it. And that's why I say, that they usually know. Then you can kind of relax. There's nothing. It just doesn't matter what you shoot, but you don't even really have to shoot them. But you can use it, like I say, for practice to help you get ready for the next one.
Justin, how did you respond as an athlete to being on a stage? You practice by yourself or you practice with some friends all the time. There's nobody announcing out loud. So when you got to the big stages, whether it was the World Archery World Cup stuff or obviously this massive stage, how would that affect you? Could you tune the commentators out at some point, or was it always a distraction?
Oh, definitely not. You can hear them, just like I was saying, the crowd. And there's nothing you can really do to prepare for an Olympic Games. You know, you can do all the kind of simulations and mental imagery, but until you get there, it's just a beast of its own. And as you go through the matches, getting closer to a medal match, it just increases. So unless you're an archer that's already been to the Olympics and already been to those medal matches, there's just no real way of gauging it. And you just kind of, the best thing is just try to shoot the shot. I mean, it's just that old cliche, you know, stick with your process.
Boy, Nespoli there just did not have a comfortable hold. And I think had Nespoli had that shot set up in a qualification round, he probably would have let that one down. You could just tell from when he started to get back into his anchor point that it wasn't comfortable. And that resulted in a 7. So 9-7-9 for Italy at 25 on the board for the first half of this third end. It seems now that this is in France's hands. And another 10.
That 8 in the
4
previous
out of
set
5.
was just a blip. Yeah, exactly.
Well. So right part of your screen, just above the archer's hand, you're going to see their arrow, and there's that little metal bit that's on the tip of the arrow. That's what we call the clicker. Justin, explain why that's so important and what happens.
Well, the biggest reason to have a clicker is a recurve bow. You can draw it to, you know, a longer draw length than you have, and so it keeps you at the same exact draw length of your arrow and keeps the poundage the same, so you get the same velocity out of the bow, which is super important. But we also use it as a timing indicator too, to get a rhythm going. So it has a twofold.
Now, Lloyd, an end ago, like on the last end, I saw one of the archers from Italy was drawing back, and we were very focused on the arrow point and the clicker. And what I noticed was, instead of the arrow going consistently backward as he's pulling through the shot, that there was some oscillation in that arrow, and the point went a little bit forward, a little bit back, a little forward, a little back, and then he went, you know, to the right. Is that something that you would typically see in some of the archers, or does a good shot always have that shot where you're continuously pulling through the shot and expanding your, I don't know what you call it, your system, I guess?
I think you definitely don't want to see that seesaw effect of going back and forth. And the problem is because, you know, if you are kind of going back and forth, what if you're getting ready to go forward right when the clicker goes off? You're going to get kind of a collapsed shot or a soft shot. You got to keep moving in one direction. And coaches watch that quite a bit. I think one of the things the clicker, you know, originally it was just to be a draw check indicator so that you let go at the same place every time. But then it kind of became, you know, they used to call it a subconscious auditory release aid, which meant it was your signal to shoot, where you didn't really think about it. It just would happen. But I think the clicker, the big advantage that it gives is it creates motion before the shot, which creates better execution. In other words, going from still to shoot is a lot harder than if you're moving like a swing and somewhere in the middle it goes click and you release. But you have this consistent motion through, which creates better execution. That was a good end by France, so wasn't it?
It was an excellent end by France. I mean, 5 10s and 1 8. I was glad you were talking, because I was getting ready to say right before that 8 that they have the potential to shoot a 60. So the commentator's curse wasn't out loud; it was in my brain. So then they shot.
Yeah, you were thinking it. You were thinking it.
I was 100% thinking it, but I mean, Italy had a bit of a collapse, Bernardo, right? 49-58. We haven't seen that big of a spread in one end, I think, since we started these things yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. And what I was going to say is that I'm pretty sure that this 49 by Italy, for sure, it's their worst set today. And I dare say it's the worst set across all matches. Literally, it's the worst one we've seen. And on the other hand, the 58 by France is definitely one of the best sets that we've had. Korea shot a 59 earlier, but the 58 is amazing. And the crowd must be buzzing. France now almost through to the semifinal. And just bringing our insider information provided by Vanessa Lee, she said that both Korea and China really focused on the waiting room, and she heard Kim Woo-jin say that the wind is really tricky. So when the man says that, yeah, must be really hard out there.
Which also shows you what just happened with France, even more impressive, especially because not that they just shot almost all 10s, but their group was so tight. It's one thing to do that end to end as an individual athlete. We've all had those ends where you show up and you're just like, how's that possible? And then the next end, they're like 5 inches wider, you know, but to do it as a team is really incredible.
Yeah. No, France, they're looking really good as a team.
Yeah. Justin, can you, from 70 meters with no magnification, think back to your younger eyes, okay? Can you actually see one single arrow down there? You know, like if you have a good leadoff arrow, even if it's an individual or team, can you see that one arrow down there, or is it at 70 meters away, which is 77 yards? If you know you measure that system, you need a couple more arrows in a group to really see those arrows down there.
No, you can see it, and I can still see it at my age. It's the stuff that's like a foot away from my face that I can't see. But yeah, you definitely see it when you shoot down in the gold. You know, sometimes when they're out in the red, they're hard to see. But yeah, when someone shoots it, even when you're shooting the same target with your opponent in the earlier matches, even at full draw, when you're trying to shoot your arrow and they shoot one right in the X, you see that in the middle of a shot.
And by the way, if you're new to archery and you're wondering, the actual part of the arrow that clips onto the string is called the knock, and those are replaceable. They're plastic and they can break because you can knock them off. The color choice for your knock, yeah, as Bernardo has a little example, exactly. So you can see that the knock there that he's pointing to, the color of that knock is going to be important if you're going to be able to see down range. So if you want to shoot everything in the gold, don't get a gold knock. You're not going to be able to see it as easy. Your vanes help too, especially with recurve. You guys use a lot of spin vanes, so they're easier to pick up when they're 70 meters downrange. Not everybody uses spin vanes. Are those your arrows, Bernardo, that you were showing us?
Yeah, that's one of my arrows. I have my equipment here with me.
You use spin vanes. Justin, what type of vanes do you use on the arrows that you shoot?
I shoot spin wings right now.
Mm-hmm.
Black ones, so you can't really see them.
Attaboy.
You see him in the gold.
See him in the gold.
Exactly. I shoot black spin wings and charcoal colored knocks. So
I think you're a 3D shooter. Don't want anybody else to be able to
sometimes
see
it's
it.
hard to even pick them up inside. Yeah, if I'm shooting with the scope, sometimes I have a hard time seeing my arrows. So I just look in the red to make sure I have nothing out there, and I'm good.
Okay, France back to the 10 ring. So that's what? 6 out of 8 for him?
It is 6 out of 8 for him. Yeah, exactly. Amazing shooting. And Baptiste, last arrow, looking comfortable. A 9 to go through.
Yep. Ooh, got it.
Oh, that'll do.
Yeah, that'll do. This crowd going bonkers. It's
They're getting
tough position for Italy to be in, right? I mean, it really is a tough position for Italy to be in. You have the number 2 qualifier, right? You have the hometown crowd. You have all these people cheering for them.
Yeah, and this is something that I try, but it's easier said than done to not think about these things. I'd like to know how Justin felt about it. But like, as I said, Italy, they lost in straight sets in the last time they met at the European Championships. So coming into the match, you might be thinking kind of like, yeah, I don't want to lose to these guys again. But like the recent memory is about not being able to challenge them, just losing in straight sets. And it's hard to keep that out of your mind. And not ideal.
Yeah, like I said earlier, reputation is a big part of the sport. Sometimes you don't have to win a match. It's your competitor lose the match just based on your reputation. I thought Italy would have come
Right.
back and done a little bit better here.
So, any particular stats on this match that stand out? Or I'm also curious to find out. Turkey ended up winning 6-2 against India, and that's who France is going to be going up against. And how are those two matches compared? In terms of the Turkey win versus the France win in points, and are we going to get this massive head-to-head competition between Turkey and France to find out who's going to gold or who's going to bronze?
Yeah, funnily enough, the numbers say so, because both teams, they had exactly the same average, so 9.33 per arrow. So they match each other exactly on the arrow average. France had 3 arrows out of the gold, while Turkey had only 2, but one of them being a 7. So yeah, I think this is going to be a cracking match, but I still have France as the favorites, because I think they were so solid in the match against Italy, while Turkey, they had some more variation. So I'm really looking forward to that one. But this is also another big match, China, Korea. Yeah, we're going to be treated to amazing matches until the very end of this session, I believe.
So Frank had a good comment. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 seed, all in the mix for medal contention. Definitely what you expect. Sometimes you like to see those under seeds, but what do you guys think about the Turkish team right now? They're definitely rolling. Justin, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's anyone's game at this point in time. I still think I give the edge to Korea to make it all the way through, and I will stick with that prediction. But at this point in time, they could definitely upset France, and we'll just have to, sit here, and it'll be a nail biter for sure.
Lloyd, any extra comments about that?
Yeah, I agree. Korea's just got a superstar team right now, and they're shooting really strong. Doesn't look like they will falter, but anything can happen.
Anything can happen. As People's Republic of China team gets introduced, Bernardo, we still have that question up. What do you think about this Turkish team? I mean, personally, I think that they're a very strong team, but I think if Korea ends up winning this match, it's going to be really difficult to steamroll Korea in the gold medal match. But your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think this is a gold medal for Korea to lose. It's theirs to lose. But what we saw by France was really exciting. Turkey as well. They were like really impressive performances, more than China, I'd say. So I really think that the podium might be Korea, China, and Korea, France, and Turkey. Which order, we don't know. We're yet to find out. But I just really think that France in a final against Korea would be awesome. And just bringing some last moment insider information from our person on site, Vanessa Lee. It's awesome that she speaks Korean and she can understand the conversations going on between the Koreans. Like Kim Woo-jin telling Kim Jae-dok to keep it fast, nice and fast. Liu Sok asking Kim Woo-jin. He is the older one, the captain in the team, the most experienced. So it's funny to see their younger ones turning to him for, advices. And Liu Sok was asking him whether the Olympics scores are normally lower. And he said that, yeah, because, nerves and everything. So it's just really cool to get these insights into the inside conversations that the Korean team has.
And that happens with big tournaments, right? Like, one of the most well-attended tournaments in the world by professional and amateur archers is the Vegas shoot in the United States. And one of the comments that people always make is if you can shoot your average at home in Vegas, you've shot really well. Because no matter what you do, when you show up to a massive tournament and there's tons of people and you're shoulder to shoulder with some of the best athletes in the world, which can happen, you tend to slip a couple of points out of your average. And I think that that's what we see when we get to games like this, making, of course, the world record that was broken on the women's side even more impressive, that the world record was broken here in Paris 2024. All right, so in this match to determine who gets to the gold and who is going to shoot for bronze, Korea is up first. They come out of the gate with the 9 and followed up with another 9. And here is the legend, the leader of this team without question. Yeah, he's the older of these archers, but even if I was sitting next to Kim Woo-jin, I'd be asking him questions too, and I'm older than he is.
We
He
all
is a
would, I
cool
believe.
character.
Ooh.
Oh,
He
but
was really
that's
fun just to go out to
Korea's.
dinner with too, you know?
I was just gonna say this is Korea's first arrow outside of the gold. In the whole session, the whole afternoon, I mean.
Flag definitely picked up some movement there.
By 9. Yeah, the other thing too I'm looking at, Lloyd, is yesterday in the women's matches, their hair gave us a really good indicator of how that wind was blowing, where they're standing. You know, and that's the problem I think with the swirling wind, is that especially with 70 meters. I mean, if you think about it, if you're an American football fan, that's 77 yards that it's downrange. So that's just over 3/4 of an American football field. And you can see with the angle that the arrows have to go off of these Olympic recurve bows, there's a lot of time in the air that the wind has a chance to affect that arrow flight. They're calling that one a 9. I was going to say initially on our feed they were calling that a 9 asterisk, and I was like, I don't think so.
That was way out.
Yeah, that was way out. I was going to
Was
say
it
it's time
10
for, yeah, 10 ring. It was time for Korea to put a 10 in there and get things rolling. I mean, there is definitely an opportunity here for China if they can capitalize to go up 2 set points to 0.
And if you're China, you have to capitalize. Korea will not give you these opportunities very often. And if you can apply pressure in the very first end, that gives you your best chance to get them to crack.
A kisser button. I don't see that very often on an Olympic recurve bow.
We do. I wouldn't say they're uncommon. They're not super common, but there are quite a few that still use them.
Yeah, nose buttons too now, right? Little touch on the
Yeah.
nose sometimes. Oh.
You're right about
See,
that.
that's
Opportunity
where
was
it
there.
hurts, right? Yeah.
Still, a tie would be better than a loss. Your coach is going to explain it to him. You put the arrows in the middle now, not out there in the red.
Is that the good coaching advice, Lloyd? Hey, listen.
Yeah.
If you put it in the middle, it scores higher. Oh, okay. Thanks, coach. That's funny.
He would tell me if I shot one out there, he goes, you know, the object's to shoot a 10. Thank you, Lloyd. Captain Obvious.
That's funny. Yeah, but it probably gets you thinking, right, Justin? Though, if you think back to it, it gets you out of thinking that you didn't shoot a 10, right?
Yeah, it would just break the tension a little bit and just, make me smile. Kind of
Yeah, the idea is
about it.
to not let that be like a traumatic thing that you shot an 8 or a bad arrow. Because you got to get over it and get on with it. You can't dwell on it. So you got to make light of it. Really, it happens. It happens to everybody. We've seen it just happens, and it's just part of the sport. But how you deal with it and how you think about it, especially when you're in a match like this, you don't have time to sulk over it. You got to get over it and get on with it.
right, so 1-1 tie, China, Korea. Into our second set, our second end of arrows. And a Korean team, which came out in their first round that we saw after their bye. Not quite the dominating pace that they had. Not yet, anyway. Woof. Out in the 8 ring for that one. Just enjoy watching the communication that this team has, right? They're yelling, they're screaming, they're talking, and look, their guy comes to it. See, the way I look at it often is yeah, you shoot 9, 8, 10 for a 27, or you could look at it as a 9, 9, 9. Like, there's just certain ways that you can look at it from an individual standpoint, but it's like 27's not too bad to start off the first half, unless China's shooting 10s like that.
Oh, just out.
Yeah, 8 ring out. That shot looked really quick to me, too. Justin, have you ever had to shoot an arrow that didn't actually get through the clicker?
Not intentionally. I have done it. Luckily for me, I didn't do it in the...
What happens? Yeah. You know, like if you had to let it go and the clicker didn't go off, like what happens to the arrow flight? Does it even get to the target?
Well, obviously it depends. If you know you're doing it, sometimes you can adjust your bow arm to make up for it. But typically you're going to see something blue or black, definitely, when you shoot through the clicker.
Hmm. Oh, those are his 2 arrows too, by the way. I can tell from the veins and the knock. They're on top of each other. He's screaming his heart out. Yep, Korea's back on track.
Yeah, that's one thing I do like about Kim Duck and his screaming, because if you just get out there and just shoot your arrows, you're not using all the tools to your that you can use, and by screaming, you're trying to put off the other team, and that was something that our U.S. team really liked to do sometimes, because it's not just getting up there trying to shoot arrow for arrow, and we were one of the first teams to ever get up there, and no matter what we shot, I would yell 10 down there just to put it in the mind of the archer that's at full draw. Even though the announcer would say 9 or 8, we would just keep saying 10. And you're trying to use any of those advantages that you can.
Well, that really works, because I find that really annoying when somebody's doing that to me.
So jackpot.
Yeah, and to get back to your point on the lane, if there any lanes have more advantage, when we used to shoot, the box was very big, and if you were in the right-handed lane, where that kind of in this, if you were watching the feed, there's a pink line separating. We were able to walk around a lot more, and one of the things that I would do after I shot my 3 arrows, I would go stand up in the very far left corner, which you're only about 5 feet from the archer that is on the opposite team, and I would just sit there and stare him down. And that was something that we did to Korea in the test event, and because we were on the right-hand side, and then during the gold medal match of the games, they were on the right-hand side, and they proceeded to do the same thing to us.
Well, what's funny is that they tried, they did it, they started, but then the archer he kind of like got shy about it and started backing off and backing away. But it was really funny.
Too polite, right?
In their face.
Asians can be too polite.
Like they tried to
but
do
we
it.
had a lot of antics. me and Lloyd talked about it. Even when we came up to walking into the field, I had my backup bow, and I purposely put my backup bow in their box. And as we're all getting ready, and instead of them concentrating on just shooting, the coaches and everyone were telling the officials that I need to get my backup bow out of their box, and it was causing them to concentrate on that. And it was all on purpose. So then finally they came and told me to remove it. So I picked it up and put it over in my box. And that was all an intentional thing to try to rattle them and get them away from just getting up there and doing their typical Korean dominance.
All right, so and number 3 and the first arrow from China is a 9, and that's the one thing about archery that's different from, say, a lot of stick and ball sports is that, the actual performance of the athlete, once they're up to shoot their arrow, there's very little that you can do to affect them, and so it's like you got to concentrate on your stuff. So any of those mind games that you can play, I think can definitely help if you can get somebody out of their game before they get to this point. So for China, they go 9, 8, and another 8. So it looks like maybe after that end, Korea back on track, back to their middle of the yellow ring, the middle of the gold ring ways. May have kind of messed with China just a little bit. However, a low 9 there could also be a factor. You could see from our shot in the crowd that the wind continues to swirl around this stadium. 3 sets to 1. A win here for Korea will send them to the gold medal match. Eight left. High. Still a 2-point lead for Korea at the halfway point of this end. Good shot, 10. Another 10. Pressure's mounting. I mean, this is all that China can do at this point. Put the pressure on Korea. You need a 10 here, though, to have any pressure. Oh, dropped it low in the 8. So now it's all in the hands of South Korea what they're going to be able to shoot on this one. So if there's 30 points available on the board, keeping it in the gold should do it for them. I don't think Lee liked that shot exactly, but he was able to catch it in the 9.
Oh, there's a B on his hand.
Oh, yeah.
He's taking long, yeah. He was...
Wow,
Whoa.
still able to get a 10.
That is amazing.
Wow.
Focus.
Yeah. Before lifting the bow, he was kind of trying to shake off the B, but it stayed there.
10 seconds on the clock. Plenty of time. And a 10. Come on. Wow.
Game, set, match.
Boy, I hope on our feed we get to see a replay of that B.
That B was hired by the Chinese for sure.
It was an AIB.
It was a
Somebody in
drone.
the crowd with a drone with a remote control, Harry Potter style, sitting in the stands. So after a great first end 54-54 split, Korea gets on a roll, goes 57-54 for the win, and then 56-53 for victory. And now Korea is flowing, Jonathan, and they get to go shoot for gold. Question is, against who? China's still with an opportunity to get a medal. We'll shoot in the bronze medal match. So what's going to happen as well is that we're going to have this next match is going to be coming up right now. Turkey versus France. And then generally we have just a little bit of a 10-minute break from the actual competition. And then we roll right into our bronze medal. So we'll keep our coverage going. If you're just joining us here on YouTube, on World Archery's page, this is the men's team final. We're on the Archery in Paris watch-along party. We got a great team assembled for you. Upper left-hand part of your screen is Jim Chrisman, who is plotting our arrows. He's keeping score for us. He's in the United States. Lloyd Brown, legendary gold medal coach in the UK, but he's an American, but he lives in the UK for the last, I don't know, what'd you say, Lloyd, 14 years-ish? Something like that?
Yeah, way too long.
Bottom left part of your screen, Justin Hewish, 2 gold medals, 1996 Atlantic Games, and he is one of our expert commentators, along with our guy, Bernardo Oliveira, who will be with us for our entire coverage, who's also keeping stats, and he has been in this situation in his life as well, in the biggest games on stage, as we have one final match to determine who's going to where. Who's going to the gold? Who's going to shoot off against Korea for gold? Is it going to be Turkey? Is it going to be the number 2 seed France? Boy, what a match, what a competition we have today. We're pretty excited to bring it to you. If you have any comments, any questions, feel free to fill them out in our comments section. If you're on Archery Plus, which you also can be watching us from there, and you can jump over to YouTube and look at it there. Or if you just get on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, you can make a comment or you can ask us a question. Just make sure you tag at World Archery so we know that that's coming. So the Turkish athletes are getting announced. And in what is an interesting running order, Metagazos will be the first shooter to lead off the team and be the final shooter after the 6 arrows. Turkey looks loose, gents, right? They're smiling. They're happy. They look pretty relaxed. Who's the pressure on? Justin, let's start with you. Is the pressure on France or is the pressure on Turkey right now?
I would say slightly France. But looks of him, he's like, he has no pressure on him. But yeah, I think France definitely has, they never, either of these two teams have ever won a men's team medal. So I know that's probably in the back of their head a little bit. We'll have to just see.
Bernardo, your thoughts on that?
I agree with Justin. I think the pressure is slightly more on the French side, being at home, and it's like they're coming from becoming European champions. It's like they have so much quality in their own team. Like their veteran Jean-Charles Valadon has already won a medal at the games in 16. They have, we see there the coach Romain Giroud, he himself like a 2 or 3 time Olympian. So, yeah, I think they might be feeling more of a pressure to deliver, while the Turks, it's kind of like, whatever comes their way, that's going to be pretty cool. But I believe that really any of these two teams, they're going to just dispatch China in the bronze medal match. I think China's looking really like the worst team in the remaining 4.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. So potentially for these two teams, Justin, you mentioned that haven't won in these games a medal, that both of them could walk away with medals, because the winner of this match goes to the gold and the loser is going to go shoot for bronze. Interesting, I saw on our feed that this arena that they're shooting in, or this area they're shooting in, has stadium lighting, and the lighting is on even though the sun is out and bright. I wonder what the point of that is. Maybe evening out some of the sunlight or something. But yeah, I know, Bernardo, like you got that look. I was noticing in a shot, I mean, all the lights are on. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting.
Wow, that's crazy.
And your reigning gold medalist from the games. What was the last games? 3 years ago, right? Because of COVID. Metagazos ends up starting us off with a 10. Yeah, normally when we talk about these games, it's so rhythmic just to say 4 years ago. But keeping in mind that one of the biggest talking points, obviously, was the delay for a lot of athletes in the games, right? That extra year put a lot of athletes that were on the verge of retiring, that were making the games, stop competing because of life changes, but also the ramp up from the last games to this games was relatively short. And the fact that for some of these teams that we see that are competing in here and some of the athletes that are at the games, new faces in just 3 short years is quite impressive, especially for some of these countries that are generating some of these younger athletes. You could see that Metagazos has had such an effect on Turkish archery in Olympic recurve as well, that you're seeing a lot of young faces at the world stage. So for Turkey, 10, 9, and 9 asterisks. So our guy Jim is calling that third arrow for Turkey at 10. And I'm going to trust him. The guy knows archery. He knows targets. He's got an 80-centimeter target hanging up in his driveway every day. Actually, 122-centimeter target face in your driveway every day, right?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Old man for somebody with old man eyes.
Well, see, Justin, the good news is for you is that when you turn 50 years old, there's something called the Senior Games in the United States.
Oh man, I'm having a hard time with that one.
And they have archery. So like in Senior Games in the States, for compound, we shoot 50 meters, or we shoot like 40, 50, 60 at 122-centimeter target face. Thing looks like you're shooting at a blimp.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep shooting the seniors until the wheels fall off, and then we'll cross that bridge.
That's right. Let's go. 2028, Los Angeles. Right, Justin?
Yeah. Oh, 15 minutes away from my house.
Whoa. Did not see that coming. A 7 from Gazos on that one, on what looked like it was Turkey was in the driver's seat. But now France is in a position that if they want to come out of this 1-1, they've got to go 2 10s, and they haven't hit a 10 yet in their first end of this match. They don't get that done. So even with that 9 asterisks, so if it's a 10 on our feed, they're calling it a 55. Jim's calling it a 56. There's not enough points available on the board for France. So it looks like Turkey will take a 2-0 lead out of the gate. All right, so at least the first 10 for France was shot and good information. So it's either going to be 56-54 or it'll be 55-54 officially. Either way, in the set point scoring system, Turkey will go up 2-0. Or, sorry, 2-0. Sorry, Lloyd. 2-0, 2-0.
2-zip.
2-zip.
2-0.
2 donut hole. Yeah. Like Vanessa Lee joined us earlier. If you're checking out World Archery's Instagram, Vanessa's done quite a bit. They also do a morning show that you'll want to check out on YouTube, right here on World Archery's page. Called, what is it called, Bernardo? Archery Croissant? Something like that?
Croissants. But now that I'm living in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and I'm learning how to speak this lovely, easy language, and I'm being super ironical here. But now it hurts my ears when I hear croissants, because you don't pronounce the S at the end of words in French, right? So I'm becoming one of them. I got to get out of here before I turn completely French.
You don't pronounce it, so you say croissant.
Yeah, the plural of croissant is croissant. The singular and the plural, the pronunciation is the same.
Lovely. That's easy to remember.
Well, but I don't know whose idea it was to pronounce plural the same as singular. You know, there are so many things get really messy with this. So, well, whatever. Gotta learn it.
Hey, there's a lot of people that are here, obviously in Paris, cheering on their home team, but there are tons of people that have traveled from all over the world to these games, as you would expect. And we definitely know that there's a good cheering section for the Turkish team. There's incredible cheering section for the Korean team as well as China. So it's been great to watch the fans come out for these team matches. And still, here we are Monday, and later on this week we'll have mixed team, and then on Friday, and then we'll have individual matches on Saturday and Sunday to wrap things up. So France getting on a roll, 2 10s in a row. And a third. Metagazos kicks it off. Shaking off the last arrow he had was a 7.
Oh, long hold once again.
8-9 liner. Looks like it's going to be a 9.
Yeah, I'd call that one in.
A 9 for Turkey. So 2 9s in a row so far as the third arrow is going to fly, getting us to the halfway point of this second end of our semifinal matches.
Ooh.
High 7.
He didn't look happy. 10. France is looking good on this one.
I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
You're thinking it, though.
I'm not thinking it. My bad. Commentators curse without actually saying it out loud. Now you can see the wind picking up on the shooter line as well. Good 9. So that's take us to 57. So there's not enough points available on the board for Turkey to even tie this particular set. So we're going to go 2-2 at the time when France really needed to come back, because if Turkey had gone up 4-0, that's a pretty big mountain to climb. Not an impossible mountain to climb. We've seen it already in yesterday's women's team matches. Although, Bernardo, we have yet to see it in since our coverage began for the men's team finals. We haven't seen a shoot-off yet, correct? I'm right on that, right?
Correct. Yeah, we had 2 in the morning. One of them by Turkey. But we're yet to have a shoot-off in the afternoon. Come on.
Oh, we're going to. It's going to happen in the gold medal match and the bronze medal match. It's going to be crazy.
Now, just a curious little stat here. So far in this match and also in the previous one, Jean-Charles Valadon, who is one of the stars of the French team, he's of these 3 archers, he's the only one with an Olympic medal, silver individual in Rio 2016. He is the worst performing archer of the French team. So, in the previous match, he was the worst one, and so far also. But France as a team really working well.
What a great shot we're seeing in our feed of just how high those arrows need to fly to get to 70 meters. Justin, when we talk about the recurve bow, let's talk about the poundages that you're holding, because as you draw that bow back, your poundage increases and increases and increases until generally with these athletes, what's the range in which we see that people are holding at full draw?
For the men, I'd say on the low side would probably be 45. I'm not really sure there. I mean, the average is going to be high 40s to low 50s. You got some of these archers shooting mid 50s, and rumor has it even more than that. So it really depends on the archer and what they can handle.
So, I mean, would you
I
equate
personally
that
shoot
to
48 and a
basically,
half.
you're shooting 48 and a half currently. Would you equate that to basically
Yeah.
like taking a barbell or a dumbbell on the ground and just lifting it right, right back to your chest and doing that? Because that's really, in essence, what you're doing.
It's not quite the same because you have this, you have the bow pulling, you're pushing and pulling, so it doesn't quite feel like just a heavy dumbbell, but in all essences it is. You're pulling that 48 pounds, plus you're picking up a 10-pound mass and holding it up there, shot after shot after shot. So the recurve bow is not something that you can really cheat. It's something that you need to be shooting 6 days a week, constantly, in order to keep up the strength that it takes to shoot without shaking or being inconsistent. If I take off 5-6 days and I go to shoot my bow, I feel like I've retired for 5 years. It's amazing how much you
not with a
lose
compound
the
bow.
strength so
We could
fast.
take off weeks. So Turkey comes out of the
France
gate
back
9,
at it
10,
again.
10. Yeah, France just answers 10, 10. So anything in the gold here is going to tie us at the halfway point of this third end. But
Oh yeah, 3x.
Ooh. Boy, oh boy.
Wow, 3 X's.
Either one
You
of these
think when
teams
you shoot
advances.
a 29, you're comfortable, and then they do that.
If either one of these teams
Another
advances,
10.
they're going to wish they probably are saving this for the Koreans.
Oh, yeah, right? Is that it? You wake up in the morning, Justin, you only get so many 10s a day, so it's like, bank a few?
Yeah, obviously, you can't think that way, but it's...
Wow. You want to talk about pressure on France right now. Now you got one of the best in the world stepping up. He hasn't had a great last couple arrows, but he could get right back on track with this.
We just have
3,
to wait.
2, 1. Oh, come on.
On the
I'm just
buzzer.
going to start calling him heart attack. I mean, he's killing me. All right, so the situation, if Gazos had hit that 10, would have been a perfect 60. And no, it drops to the 9. I don't think we've seen a 60 in any round in men's team here in these games, Bernardo, right? No 60s at all in an end yet?
Correct. Okay. Yeah, we've had 59s, but not a 60 yet.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
8.
Ooh.
Just like that. That one killed him. So now France is going to go down 4-2. Yeah, 10. But just not enough points on the board.
Man.
They just need to add an 11 ring somewhere. Take a chance. Maybe put it left side 3 ring. hit this little
It's
dot.
definitely a heartbreaker shooting a
you get
57 and not getting those set points.
It's crazy.
Yeah, top notch. Well, it's the Olympic semifinal, right? Losing a set with 57 with the wind. This is crazy. Like, wow, it's really impressive.
Well, Turkey right now is in a position to break some hearts. Thousands of hearts sitting in the stand, probably hundreds of thousands, millions of hearts across France in this next end. It's on France's shoulders right now to step up. But, how do you step up 57, 58s? I mean, this is just an incredibly high level of scoring.
But really, once again, the precious points were dropped by Jean-Charles Valadon. His teammates are doing a great job, but he is the one that all afternoon has been dropping the points.
And Lloyd, they're going to know that. So as a coach, would you intervene right now to that archer or the team, letting them know, reaffirming the team structure, or just kind of letting that one athlete know, like, hey, you're not having a great round? Like, how would you coach the situation that France is in right now?
I don't think I'd call it out or recognize or anything. I think I'd just let them keep on going. Like I say, keep that even keel, keep their head in the game. Definitely try to keep their confidence up. I wouldn't point it out or bring it up or highlight it or anything. I think you kind of want to just let it pass and think about what you can do here.
Well, it feels like they're going to need nothing but 10s to keep rolling.
You just don't know, though. You go into this, Turkey could do anything. We just wait and see.
And let's face it, they shot a 57. It's not like they shot a 47. So they just got beat by a better scorer. And sometimes you just got to tip your hat.
Yeah, a 58 is very tippable, 100%.
Oh,
Oh,
another one, and always same direction. He's been making mistakes all the time. Low left in this match. Someone tell him to adjust his sight or something.
Speaking of experience, those are soft shots, probably. Hesitant.
Yeah, good point. But it's impressive. He's shot 5-8s this afternoon already. It's crazy.
In the longest hold in the history of mankind.
Time and time again.
If Turkey pulls off this set, we are going to see a celebration like no other from them.
Yeah. And by the way, the situation is if they tie with France, they're going to get 1 point apiece. That means Turkey's going to win because it's 1st to 5. So they're not in like a win-it-all situation for Turkey at the moment. But 9, 8, 10, good enough for France to stay tied with Turkey. So the door is open.
They're matching each other air for air now.
Mm-hmm. Great start for France. And again, the win here for France will get us into a tiebreaker situation. Our first since our coverage began, not the first of the men's team finals. Okay, 9, not an 8. The extra point could prove the difference. This kid's been shooting nothing but 10s.
Whoa.
Got that one too.
Yeah.
I think anyway. Jim, what do you think?
I think you got it.
Yeah,
All right.
I think that's in.
Maybe we can have our first shoot off? Or should I have not said anything?
Whoa.
Good luck calling that one, Jim.
I think
Trying
you
to
got
share
pushed
the
out.
same spot.
I think it got pushed out too, yeah. The glance out, as they say in 3D archery. Oh, left group. Okay, so a 10 here for the potential tie. It's that 9-star arrow that's going to make the difference, because if the score ends up the way it's sitting on the board that we're watching for our feed, is that 9?
Come down to a
They-
judge's call.
Yep.
They
Or is
only
that a
use the
10?
left side of the target.
It'll come down to the measure.
Nobody
Yep.
knows.
Nobody knows. So this
And
is the hardest
well-
part about archery, is not having a finish line, right? So they're now looking for the judge to make the call. They're going to go down there to the judges. They're going to look at those arrows close. They're going to make that call. Yeah, and there's the magnifying glass that's out. Judge is calling in or out what the score is.
So-
So we're either going to
think
go
it's a
tie
9.
and Turkey wins, or France will win and we'll go to a shoot-off.
She gestured that it's the lower score, I
Mhm.
think.
I
So we
saw
have
that
a
as
shoot
well.
off.
Well, yep.
Man.
Hey, panel, should the rule be changed that if an arrow that's in is touching an arrow that's out, that you should get the higher point value because those two arrows are actually connected to each other? Discuss.
Yeah, I have official scoring here. It was downgraded. It was a 9. So there. But wait. Yeah, so there we have it. It's a shoot-off.
Shoot
Oh,
off.
boy.
All right. Bernardo, can
Oh,
you
my.
explain to us what a shoot-off is? What are we going to do? How it works?
Yeah, so it's only 1 arrow per archer. Each team is going to shoot a total of 3 arrows, but in alternating fashion. France is going to be shooting first, or no, Turkey shooting first, and then France, Turkey, France, all the way until the end. The highest sum wins. In case the sums are tied, then the team with the arrow closest to the center wins. And even if those are too close to call, then the team with the second arrow closest to the center wins.
And if that was tied,
Then third. Then if that is tied, then I don't know, coin toss, whatever, repeat the shoot off. Well, just before we begin, I just want to say that Baptiste Adis, the 17-year-old French archer, he's shot 6 10s out of 8 arrows in this match. It's mind-blowing. The kid has been on top form.
okay, so here we go. First arrow of this shoot-off. We're looking at 2 things. We're looking at score, and we're looking at closest to the center, just in case it's a tie. First arrow out wide, and you can see the estimation is at 150.4 millimeters from the center. That's where that 8 is. That's not 100%. I mean, there would have to be a measurement if we get that close, but that gives you a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, and in the X-ring.
Whoa.
Only 28 millimeters from the center, the very center, we call it the spider. There's a little X, a little cross that's right in the center. And that's used for measurement and obviously for what we're doing here. But first and foremost, we're looking at score. So matched a 10. So now 18 points so far for Turkey.
This is a wild card here.
Yeah, this is a lot of 8s. Nice this time. In the
That'll
gold.
do.
Still left though, all day, right?
Yeah, this entire match.
Nine. So a 9 to win for France.
Even
advance?
8 will do the job.
Yeah.
Eight
Because
will
they
do the
have
job
a
'cause
10
they're
closer to the center.
Yep. Yep. Oh! Woo. That'll get your heart rate up, eh, Justin?
Oh my goodness.
Not exactly the way you want to do it, but
Oh, that'll do.
Wow.
But I guess tomorrow nobody's going to remember this. Like what they will remember is that France is through to the gold medal match, and everyone will forget how it happened.
And a perfect opportunity for us to get Vanessa in. Vanessa, could you hear the screams from where you're standing outside the venue?
Yeah, I feel like I can't even really hear you guys on my phone. It's like crazy. They're breaking out into song. Like, you can't really write a better story, right? Now it's going to be home team against the Great White Sharks. I'm like at a loss for words. This is insane.
Yeah, it's been really impressive to see what's going on. France has kind of been up against it, and they were able to get it in the shoot off and an arrow closest to the center on the first arrow that was shot by France. So important in this. So, in terms of what you've seen now behind the scenes, how are things going as we get deep into these matches? Now we're set for bronze and we're set for gold.
Yeah. So my main place right now is I'm in the waiting room before the archers are going out. It was really interesting. France's strategy was to stay away from their opponents. Turkey was in there. They were warming up and they're getting ready. They were watching the match. But the French team stayed outside of there, which I thought was really interesting. Of course, it looked like it worked for them. But really high tensions rising, and China's getting ready to shoot against, I guess now Turkey. But it'll be interesting to see because Turkey's now hyped from that shoot-off, and China's been watching that.
As someone who's so close to archery, Vanessa, looking at the gold medal match, you want to give us a prediction?
Hell no. Come on. You know what? The great thing is that either way, it's an incredible story. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep, definitely. Okay. All right. How's the wind been from what you've seen down on the field? It looked like it had picked up and started swirling around, similar to yesterday, what we saw.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Better than me, I spoke with Kim Woo-jin and I was asking him specifically about the wind. He says it's there. It's not enough for it to be consistent, so it's actually throwing them off more than anything. He says it's coming from right to left, and it's there, but it's stopping, so they don't really know exactly where to aim. But it'll be interesting to see for the next match.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. We appreciate your insight, and continue to enjoy that sunshine and the heat. Thanks, Vanessa Lee.
Cool. I'm gonna run back inside. Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, see ya. All right, so as Vanessa gets on the gas and gets back to it, wow. Okay, what a matchup we have. And yeah, when we talk about that gold medal match, I mean, Justin, can you ask for anything more? You have the juggernaut that is the Korean men's team against the hometown favorites in France. What are you looking, as you look forward to this gold medal match, what are you thinking? You've literally been in this position yourself before, just a few short years ago.
Yeah, the last time Korea had to face the hometown crowd, and the hometown team was our team. So even though I still have Korea as the favorite to win, and I'm sticking with that prediction, I now like to see the French guys pull it off. I'm changing. I want to root for them now.
Cool. What about you, Bernardo? What do you think?
I think the same as Justin. I'm totally behind France, and even though before I made the little joke about me becoming too French, but yeah, I'm really supporting them. I think this is going to be mind-blowing. The stands, like, wow, the crowd is going to go crazy with that. And I think really the big question mark is Jean-Charles Valadon. I think it's just a matter of him finding his rhythm, finding his own shot, and if he does so, his other two mates, they are already pretty much on point. So if he gets his thing together, then I think France, they can really fancy winning gold in front of their home crowd, and that's going to be mental.
Lloyd Brown, coach extraordinaire. Your thoughts on the gold medal match coming up? Obviously France versus Korea, but also with what Bernardo said on the back of that they do have, France has one archer that's been struggling a little bit from a coach's perspective. Who are you looking at to possibly come out on top? And then how would you coach either or both of these teams in the situation coming up?
I don't think I'd coach him any differently. There's kind of a history of men's teams winning the gold when it's in their home country. In fact, it looked like it was just happening all the time there. When you go back to '88, Spain in '92, the U.S. in '96. There's so it could happen, and really anything could happen. France shot very strong. And yeah, you'd hope the one archer, if he stays in the game, if he at least keeps shooting those 9s and not 8s, you just never know. Korea's definitely super strong. It's going to be a hard team to beat, but anything can happen, and sometimes Korea leaves a little bit of an opening. If France could take advantage of that, then they could have a win. But they definitely got the crowd on their side. They got the hometown advantage, so could be good. I was thinking of watching that shoot off. We were in that same situation in '96 in the Olympics. Justin will remember this, but when we were shooting, well, it was for the gold medal match. We didn't know whether we were going to be in a shoot off or not because there were a couple arrows that were too close to call, and we ended up not being in a shoot off. But as a coach, one of the things I did was get the team together and say, let's not think about whether or not we're going to be in a shoot off. Let's prepare for the shoot off. Let's talk about what are we going to do next. That way I wanted them in the game and ready to go. But then of course the score came out and we didn't even know till much later. It actually 2 arrows had gone in our favor. So we ended up with a 2-point instead of a 1-point lead. But yeah, that time of uncertainty where you don't know what's going to happen is kind of crazy. And you're waiting for an indication down at the target. Our team manager, who was our agent down at the target, it's like, give us a thumbs up, give us a something. And there was nothing coming back. And until the scoreboard finally flashed up the scores.
The other thing, we should not overshadow the home crowd for the French too much, because the Korean delegation has some numbers there, and they typically have some loud spectators and the gongs and all the flags. So there's something to be said about that too, that we shouldn't overshadow.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had the guy with the gong around in a while. The Koreans used to, in the early days, they always had this guy up in the stands. I think they use it maybe as part of their mental game, and they probably trained for it. And I think maybe even that idea of throwing off the other team. But they had this big, huge guy that had this gong, and while they were in their matches, he'd just sit there and go gong, gong. It was really crazy.
All right, we're already ready to go as the People's Republic of China team already set and on the field of play, going up against Turkey. And so the Turkish archers, man, they're warmed up and ready to roll. Both these teams are, I'm sure. But let's turn our focus to this bronze medal match. What are you thinking, Justin, for Europe?
I'm hoping that the Turkish archers make it. I really like what their program's been doing. I've had a lot of correspondence with the coach in the recent months and asking questions, and he's been very coming with information. And so I just have a special place in my heart for even Mete Gazos being a fellow gold medalist, that, we're in that fraternity together. So I look to see and hope that they just put some work on China right now.
And what about you, Lloyd?
I think, when Turkey just coming off of, they just finished a match that was hard fought and a loss. It's now the coaches really got to get them pumped back up and get their head back in the game for this next match, because it's really quick after that loss, where China's had a little bit more time to air out their brains and prepare. But yeah, I'm kind of rooting for Turkey as well for a lot of the same reasons. I think the coach there, he is awesome. He shares information, and he's just done such great work with the Turkish team there.
And Bernardo, from a statistical standpoint, what do you think?
Oh, from a statistical standpoint, Turkey, yeah, they're looking better. China, they haven't had the best numbers of the 4 teams left. So, and I'm also cheering for Turkey, but we're about to find out.
We're definitely about to find out as the first arrow is getting ready to fly. For sure, looking at the medal count across these games, Turkey doesn't have one yet, so this would be their first medal of the games. But China comes out of the box strong with a very emotional X in the middle of the target.
That leaves some room for Turkey here to start.
10-7-9 for a 26 from China the first half of the first end. Gazos catches it bottom of the 10, but in the last match, he just kept hitting lower, lower, lower. So obviously he's finding it again, but not quite the commanding 10 that we've seen him shoot earlier on in the day. Oh, X. Nine. So now a 3-point advantage at the halfway point of this first end. Set point scoring system. Field of play 70 meters from where the archers stand to where they impact the target. The 10 ring down there is 12.2 centimeters, about the size of a grapefruit. Total target 122 centimeters. As we are in the bronze medal match for the men's team finals, and it's China versus Turkey. And statistically, China hasn't shot as well to get to this point as Turkey has. But wind has been a bit of a story here, as the wind is was calm at the beginning of this day, picked up, and now it looks like it's died down again, at least for the moment. Vanessa Lee, who joins us, of course, works with World Archery and has been cranking out great content on our Instagram page, has done a great job of giving us some inside information as she steps outside of the shooter venue and told us it is really hot down there as well. And Turkey continuing to put them solidly in the gold. So 54 points on the board for China. It's that 7 on the second arrow for China that might haunt him in this particular first end.
Ooh.
Potentially.
Oh, a moment
A
there.
little squirrely there.
Get a little ginch
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Still able to get it in the 9.
it on.
That's kind of what we were talking about, Lloyd, right? Earlier, we are talking about the oscillation going back and forth. And
Not much time left here. 10 seconds for a guy who likes to hold for 15. Somebody should be counting down for him.
oh, they are. Ooh.
Oh,
But actually,
usually-
he's gone down to,
Oh,
I guess he's gone down to 1-2 seconds before.
Yeah.
But he's had more of a hold
Cost
to
them
get
the
there.
set.
Yep.
I was looking something up. I was just gonna bring this. Funnily enough, both the bronze medal final and the gold medal final are a rematch from matches that we had in the very last international tournament that we had before the Olympic Games, the Archery World Cup Stage 3 that was held in Antalya, and home soil of the Turkish team. And the occasion in the round of 16, it was China versus Turkey. China won in straight sets, 6-0. And then the gold medal final was Korea versus France, and Korea beat France 5-1.
couple grudge matches then happening right now.
Yeah, but it's already a different story about China and Turkey, because Turkey managed to put themselves in the scoreboard, and China, they just keep on making those mistakes. Like they've shot how many sevens today? Like, really not good. If you want to win an Olympic medal, you can't be affording to be shooting eights, let alone sevens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at this level, generally you see 55 from Turkey is not going to get it done, but in that particular end, it was enough. I mean, it seems like 56s, 7s, 8s, even 59s are kind of the benchmark lately. Especially when
You
we
look
get
at
to
the
the
level
gold
of
medal match.
the level of competition is high, but also the level of pressure is high. So it kind of makes it random. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm. Good couple shots, 10-10 for China. The feed we're watching, we can see the wind indicator. Looks like it's blowing towards the Archer at about
And much less
anywhere
than
from half
yesterday,
to
right?
0.9 of a meter per second. So a much better opening half for China, putting 28 points on the board of a possible 30. There's Metagazos, what you like to see. And another
Really
10
competition.
from Turkey.
See who can hold the longest.
Yeah, but it's when we talk about the clock, so generally, the idea is you want to kind of burn half the clock off. So that's 120 seconds. And for Turkey right now, they're going to have 57 seconds remaining on the clock for their second half off of 2 long holds. So we'll see how much time is going to be left for Gazos on the 6th arrow. But China back at it. 1 point down at the halfway point, and boom, 10 right out of the gate.
This guy, Cao Wenchao, has shot nothing but 10 so far in this match. Really the driving force of this team, and great that he's shooting first, really backing up his teammates.
On the clock, on the first half, you have to get the last archer off behind the waiting line before the clock stops. But on the second half, you only have to get the arrow out of the bow, get the shot off. So you actually don't need quite as much time on the second part. It's good end. This is close. This is a good match.
Really good match. So the situation is 29 points, 57. So, oof, that hurts. Now, basically, you're looking at 2 10s to tie the set. That's the best you can do. Nope, that's not going to do it. So we're going to have a 2-2 split.
Oh,
Two arrows on top of each other.
Yeah, on the axe ring. Wow.
Unfortunately, it's a team game, so not enough. So 57-56, we expect the official scoring to be. China over Turkey for our second group of arrows. So we're going 2-2.
China shooting their best set of the whole afternoon so far, and a good time to be doing so when you're shooting for a medal.
So, Justin, when you're in these situations in between ends, what are some of the conversations you remember having with your teammates?
Me personally, I like to try to keep it light. Sometimes it's just making jokes about something, not necessarily talking about what's going on. Unless Lloyd was having something important to tell us.
Like he was listening.
There's been times where I pick up my backup bow to start walking to the line. He's like, dude, it's your backup bow. I'm like, oh, I'm brain dead right now. Let me put that down and grab the right one. One was black,
So how
one
long,
was silver. It wasn't
Justin?
like
How
they're the
long have
same
you been
color.
awake at this point? How long have you been awake at this point? You got up in the morning, East Coast time, right? Yesterday.
Yeah, I've been up for 30
29
plus hours.
Oof.
Oh, Jesus, man.
You're doing a good job, pal. Stick with us. And luckily, Justin Hewish is going to be joining us for the last 3 days of our coverage, which will be later on in the week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as we wrap things up in Paris with archery. And China starting with a nearly dead center X.
Gotta give credit to my
All tied up
coffee
at
and my
2-2.
energy drink.
That's it. Just keep it pounding. Keep it going. Of course, if we get a shoot-off here in the bronze medal match and the gold, that'll pep you right up. $10.99. So we're going 28 in the first half for China. Here's Gazos. Low left 9.
Still low, huh?
Mm-hmm. He definitely had it dialed though the last end, obviously. He had 2 right in the middle, right? So it's not a matter of like setting the sight, it's just something else. But now all of a
you're
sudden,
right.
are they going left?
Coach looks nervous.
There we go.
So take it.
All right, so 10 on the board. So 28 at the halfway point, and Turkey was still 67 seconds left on the clock is always good for Metagazos. Ooh, China with a bit of a left one in the 8 ring.
Yeah, well, whether that was the wind, that's his first arrow. That's not a 10 in this match.
Mm-hmm. Nice. 10 down at the bottom. Jim Chrisman, you calling that a 10 or a 9?
Calling that a 10.
All right. You can see that little bit of a gust right there. Yeah. And that gust was coming from the left side, and that arrow blew off to the right. And trust me, with the 54 on the board and the Turkish team 2 10s away from a 57, anything in the gold is cheer. Oh, and that one looks like it caught the gold as well on the left side. Plenty of time now for Gazos and his long hold tendencies. He goes back to full draw, and there's still 21 seconds on the clock, burning down. And he goes right side 9. So that's
More
good enough
room
for a
on the-
55, right?
55, correct. I guess none of we didn't really have any liners that really cast a lot of doubt. So I think it's a 4-2 lead for Turkey, and we see the Chinese coach really being very vocal there.
Well, our unbelievable scorer, Jim Chrisman, has a lot of confidence in his scores. He just updates it. Doing a great job, Jim. We appreciate you keeping scores, plotting all those arrows for us to give us a good idea of what's going on. You can see through Jim's efforts that even though we're at a 4-2 point score in the set match, 9.2 points per arrow for each of the teams, and China with 8 10s versus Turkey's 6 10s. This is what set points or set scoring will give you. So obviously what that tells us is that with the 8 10s that China has been able to shoot, but they're trailing in the match, that they've had more arrows that are outside of the goal, that 9-10 ring. And that's been that story.
Yeah, 4 against 2. 2 8s by Turkey, 3 8s and 1 7 by China. And it's funny that out of the 8 10s by China, 6 by the same guy. And he is right now on the shooting line about to shoot his arrow.
Ooh. Dialed in. The situation is what we've seen before. A tie will give Turkey the bronze medal. An outright win by Turkey, obviously, and China needs to win it outright in order to keep their hopes alive and take us to a bronze medal shoot-off. A great, perfect start.
Looks like they're playing.
Say that again, Lloyd.
So it looks like they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Ooh, what is
That
that
Jim
one?
Chrisman,
that's an
that
8.
one kicked. It looks like an 8.
He's like, what? What?
Ooh.
Leave a little opening for the Turkish team.
Okay. With the amount of movement after the shot, I'm sure he'll take that 9.
Oh, and some more ball movement there.
So a 10 now needed by Turkey to keep it even at the halfway point. Got it. Bronze medal match, archery in Paris here on World Archery's YouTube channel. As we were watching our feed, as you join along with us, and China, who is in a competitive position and unfortunately just launched one out wide. And that 7 and then a low left 9 could be the nail in the coffin for this team in their quest to win a bronze medal. But they're still, as a 10, seals things up. So it's going to be a 54, but Turkey comes in with 28 points with a possible 30 on the board remaining. Boy, it's holding your breath time for the Turkish fans. Ooh, bottom of the 10 possibly.
I'd call that a 10.
Yeah. Time winding down. 24 seconds on the clock. Quick shot, 9. Now with 15 seconds on the clock. Now down to 10. This is going to be a quicker shot for Gazos.
He's the guy you want under pressure.
And a 9. And that's going to do it. Turkey is going to wrap up the bronze medal and grab Turkey's first medal of the game.
Whoa.
Nice sound effects we got going on.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Winner.
Welcome to the podcast. Good match by Turkey. They got it done when they needed it. And looking at the stats from arrow plotting that our guy Jim Crispin has provided, you can see where the arrow average is 9.3 points per, even though they have 10 8s. It was just those fewer mistakes in the red that really were able to seal it up for Turkey. Anything on this statistical side, Bernardo, for us?
Yeah, it's crazy that, like, you were talking about the set system. So, like, China, they had 11 10s, while Turkey had 9. But, well, it is Turkey who won. They had way less arrows out of the gold, and just so consistent all throughout, like 55, 56, 55, 56. Very little variation, and a lot of the times consistency gives you the win. And well, by seeing them celebrating, you see how much this means. Now it's not only Mete Gazos who is an Olympic medalist among these three. All of them are now, and well, I would love to be an Olympic medalist myself.
Well, I know you're still working towards it, so. What do you think,
Yeah, that's
Justin?
right.
You've been in this position before, the feeling, the euphoria of grabbing a medal. I know that yours was gold, and you'd only been shooting really a short time in your life before you got there, but tell us a little bit about how the feeling was for you during that time and what you think these athletes are going through right now.
Well, yeah, just amazing watching them right now and seeing the emotion. I mean, I got chill bumps just sitting here. It just kind of brings it all back. You know, I'm really happy for the Turkish team. It's just a great feeling. Even right now, I'm just got this little rush through my body watching them. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Good to see your connection with the team as well. All right. So we're down to it. Lloyd, men's team finals. Do you like it any better than this? One of the best
Yeah, I
teams in the
do.
world going up against a great French team, but on home soil. I mean, this is what the games are about, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. You know, I think the French team, I think they know they're going to have a rough match here, but they also know they've already walking away with silver if they don't take the gold. And I don't think they're going to have necessarily pressure here, because I mean, the way you're going to look at it is nobody's actually going to expecting the French to win. They're certainly going to be absolutely happy if they do. I think more people probably expect the Koreans to take this, but that sometimes can take the pressure off and give them that opening they need. Again, it's kind of like with the women's team. It's more the men's are thinking they can't lose, where the French are thinking, you know, they can win. Just hope the French put up a good fight.
I think you bring up a good point. Like, without question, even though France is the number 2 qualifier, if France was able to win this, it would be an incredible underdog story. As weird as that sounds.
Absolutely. And just bringing, before we begin, some more info provided by Vanessa Lee. She said when she joined our call that before the semifinal, France, they were actually waiting outside of the call room, you know, kind of setting themselves apart from their opponent team, and they did the same just before coming in with Korea. And as they were walking out of the call room, both teams shouting a lot, everyone just trying to bring that energy, and they're gonna leave it all out there in the range, and can't wait for this match to get started. This is gonna be a great one.
In our gold medal match yesterday in the women's team finals, it felt like every arrow matters, even though we're in the set scoring system, that every single arrow means something. And I get that same impression with this match as well, especially for the fans here. And of course, this always helps to elevate archery. Archery is massively popular in France. We know that there's an indoor world archery round that goes to Nîmes, France. It's major, but it's always a boost in the arm for the sport when the host country gets a team in a gold medal match.
Yeah, and history is going to be made no matter what here. If Korea wins, they're going to have unprecedented 7 Olympic championships. If France wins, well, we know how they'll go down in history for sure. And regardless, they're bringing back their very first team medal. So it's a win-win for the whole situation here. So we just got to see how it plays out. And I still think Korea is going to dominate over the French archers, but I'm rooting for the French here.
Gold, mission impossible for France. Since you put gold question mark, no, it's not mission impossible. This is archery. It's a set scoring system, and anything is possible, especially with the conditions that we've seen with wind. It's been coming and going. Is it a steep mountain to climb? Yeah, definitely. But mission impossible, no. Well, then again, good start from Korea, right in the middle. I love the look on his face after the execution of the shot, right? Like it's just a take this target. Oh, a 9. How dare you?
I told you, he's the one letting the team down today. What does this say about the others?
Yeah, the worst of the best.
Oh, that one's so close.
I know.
They could have used that too.
Yeah, all eyes right now on this archer. This could be the difference between gold. If he can step his performance up. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Love watching this. French fans scream their hearts out. And what is normally a very stoic, although 9. So 1 point down at the halfway point of this first end. Korea versus France for the gold medal. But in what normally is a relatively stoic sport, not when you come to the big stage like this. Or if you're Lloyd Brown or Justin Hewish in 1996 at Atlanta. You can see that win now starting to become a bit of a factor. No factor.
On the spider.
Lead, boom. Right in the middle. Sheesh.
Yeah, you see him bobble a little bit there.
Yeah, but I also think the wind was moving his...
See your mouth moving, but did you touch your microphone again? Hit that mute button?
Yeah, stupid button. Oh, look at that.
What were you saying about that 8 left?
Oh, they had put a 5 on the scoreboard for some reason.
Oh yeah. I've seen them do that quite a few times today on our feed. All right, so 57 for Korea. So the opportunity is there, but the window is closing after that 9. So now 2 10s needed for France in order to tie this first end.
Korea's definitely making France work for it if they're going to have a chance.
Ho!
John
Okay.
Charles has got his mojo back, though.
Mm-hmm.
The guy
He's
has come
stepping up.
At the
alive.
right time. And a 10.
Wow.
Wow.
They needed that, too. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take any point against Korea that you can. Wow.
Yep. Now, what we've seen from Korea, it feels like, and Bernardo, you may have checked the stats on this, but when Korea has a let's say a so-so end, 57 is not so-so, but for Korea, they tend to come back stronger the very next end. So we're going to see if there's a big answer, and the teams maybe around Korea don't do as well the second end. So this is where we're in the gold medal match, and you would expect France is going to be able to equal what they had just done. But what an opening from Korea. But this experienced
Yeah.
archer from France making all the difference right now for his team.
Yeah. And the best timing for that. But in the semifinal, France, after they shot a 57 when they were shooting against Turkey, was followed by another 57. So it wouldn't be the first time today that they managed to keep up the pace. And against Korea, I just think that even if you don't win the set, but just stay as close as you can, because then you got to try to put some pressure on them. If they get too comfortable, they'll just run away with it, and then you're done. But you need to apply pressure on them because they can crack.
Can you imagine if we
And
went
sharing those
tie
set
tie
points.
tie tie to the fourth set? Whew. To a shoot off. This would be legendary if that happened. Out of the gate, 10 for Korea. Thanks for joining us on our men's team final. We're in the gold medal match between Korea and France after the first end of 6 arrows for each team. We're tied up at 1 set point apiece. Korea is on deck and shooting, and so far they've started off 2 10s, and emotion is high for
A lot
South
of spirit,
Korea.
doesn't he?
And another 10, so starting off with 30.
Kind of like match this, France.
I know.
Anyhow, the two young Koreans are quite vocal. It's probably just to keep his heart beating.
Oh,
So
Once again, so close.
a 1 millimeter
Second time he's done
heartbreaker.
that.
Mm-hmm.
No. And the thing is, at least for me, those shots, they feel the same as a 10, you know? So it's kind of like you felt that it was a really good shot, but it's just out by a couple of millimeters. Ah.
you know what he's done.
Nice. Whatever coaching worked, right? Whatever the communication was between the teams, that worked. So now Korea, with their last 3 arrows of the second end, find themselves with a 2-point advantage. And another one.
He might just be putting the smack down now. His score needs to work on his.
Ours is working great because Jim's on it.
Yeah.
And another 10.
Oh.
Not even.
Gee, I wonder what I'm going to have for breakfast when this for lunch when this. I'm not thinking anything. Not thinking. Yeah, exactly. Well, here we go.
It's our first 60 of the day right here.
Oh!
Oh!
Wow.
Somebody
Really
needs to-
nice sound effect from the peanut gallery. Still, though, a 59 in a gold medal match under this pressure is incredible. What a team Korea has. Not enough points available on the board for France to come back. But these are good, as Lloyd told us, these are great practice arrows. and it's always good when you shoot a 10. It sets the tone for the next end coming up. And really, if France can just go 10-10 on the way out, to lose 2 set points with 58 points is just a heartbreaker. And there's the second one. And it looks like it caught a 10. I mean,
that looks like a winning end, doesn't it?
Man. I mean, only 3 points
even
were dropped in 12 arrows.
Yeah, 57-58, you're losing. It's just unbelievable.
Man.
Wow.
Now, what I think that really great stuff by France. Like, even if you lose the set, do so by 1 point, show Korea that you're right there. And if they drop the ball 1 second, you're there to pick up the point, you know. Make them think about that, you know, try to creep into their minds, make them think that we can't make a mistake. And then maybe they will make a mistake, maybe they won't, but...
If France is able to win this too, we'll be in some uncharted territory for us today anyway. I don't think we've had a 3-3 tie heading into, like the fourth end. I don't think we've had like a 5-3 victory yet today, but both teams just on their game, and you love to see it from France because the level getting into this match, we thought that this would be more of a blowout. It had the potential to be more of a blowout, but France has really stepped up and kept this thing right where they need to be. So, massively important. The situation is, if they tie, we go 4-1 advantage on Korea. If Korea wins outright, they're going to win gold, and silver goes to France. If France can win this, we go 3-3 tie on the way to the first of 5 wins.
Man, and once again, Tomashiro, his 9s are so close to the 10. What a difference it would have made had them just clipped to the line.
Ooh, both a little high. Three 9s for France. You get the feeling it's not going to get it done against this Korean team. And another 10. How many 10s in a row is that so far for this team,
for him,
Bernardo? I mean,
for him, it's 5.
For him too. Yeah.
5 out of 5 in the 10.
Wow.
It's so funny to see him celebrate.
He seemed happy about that.
You think so?
Yeah, it is. I mean, traditionally, the Korean teams have been relatively stoic teams, right? Like, wow. One of the best in the business ever.
Trying to carry the old man.
Yeah, yes.
And once again, Kim Woo-jin, he's the worst performing of the Korean team. It's
that's
wow.
So wild to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
There, that found the middle.
Never thought those words would come out of your mouth.
And keep in mind, in the individual ranking rounds, which adding the points, Kim Woo-jin was our #1 qualifier at a 686 in some very tricky win conditions. So the fact that, the Korean team you're looking at individually went 1, 2, and 5 in qualification to be the #1 seed as a team. So it's even more so. It's not like Kim Woo-jin is struggling in these games at all. But his teammates have definitely stepped up with another one.
Another one.
4 arrow shots so far. Good communication
sure
with the
has a
team.
lot.
They train quite a bit, so they know each other well. Wow.
Wow.
So 10s across the board, right? For the first 2 shooters in this match period. They haven't even shot a 9. The only one to shoot a 9 is Kim Woo-jin.
Kim
What do they
Jae-dok shot an
stand
8
over?
in the first set.
That's right. There it is. The big win, the big gold medal for Korea.
Wow.
They get it done again. And another one goes on the board in the medal count. A 59-56 win for the last and a 5-1 set victory. And they are pumped.
France can feel
Uh-oh.
really good about that. They performed well. They've come away with a silver medal. They did well. They didn't lose that match. They just got beat.
Yeah, like France, they didn't shoot a single arrow out of the gold. 57, 58, 56. This would beat 6-0, I believe, pretty much any other match against any other team today except Korea. It's just that, against these guys in white, yeah, you'll have to bring something better than that if you want to get gold from them.
Wow. And
We
we're
knew it
gonna
was
get
going to be
see
a
Kim
tough
Woo-jin
match.
shoot
It was
again
always
as
going to be a
well.
tough match, but France did so well. They really should be proud.
Absolutely.
Watching our feed, watching hands shake, congratulations across the board. I know that France is not happy they didn't win, but they look like they're content, and they should be. Quite a performance from France.
Yeah.
But man, you talked about it before, panel. It's like grabbing that 1 point from Korea is always critical, and it was such a close match. You have to look at that middle set, middle end. Losing 58-59 is just one of those stories of this match that goes back and just says, what else can we do? What else can we do? What a performance.
You watch
for
Turkey
France.
celebrated so much more winning that bronze than the French are here winning the silver. It's hard to feel like you won the silver when you just lost the gold, but gosh, they shot so well. They should really feel happy about that performance.
Lloyd, you bring up a really good point, and it's kind of the most difficult thing, I think, about archery when you get to this level. The last match you shoot for bronze, you win. The last match you shoot for silver, you lose. You've earned silver, you've won silver, but it feels so much different. It definitely feels different.
You should be cheering just like that, even though, because they did earn it.
Yeah, and
Good comment.
I wonder.
Li Wujin will have more reason to go beast mode in individual for sure. I mean, Li Wujin shot amazing. The issue is his 2 teammates shot a little bit better. Right?
Yeah, and like right now, I was just making the average of the entire session, and he was the worst of the Korean team. And why we've been repeating this time and time again, because this sounds outrageous. Like he's a legend, one of only 2 people to have shot 700 in competition. Former world record holder, has been how many times world number 1, 3-time world champion and all, and then he is in a team where he is not even the best one. This is totally crazy.
I mean, this match will go down as one of the all-time great matches.
Yeah, especially the fact that on home soil, your second place qualifier, France, ends up doing so well. Well, what a day we've had of shooting, of archery. We have our men's team finals done and dusted. It's in the books. And For Turkey, they get their first medal of the games, which is great. France gets another one, and obviously Korea now should go in terms of like total medal count. I believe last time I checked, Korea should go into a tie. South Korea should go into a tie with China, who sits on top of the gold medal count. They have 5, so with this gold medal, South Korea should move into a tie with them. You have Australia with 4, Japan with 4. France gets another medal to their tally. They'll have silver, so that'll be their 6th silver of the games, bringing their medal count to 11 total, trailing the United States in total medal count by just a single. But of course, there are games going on currently right now, so this is updating like in real time. But yeah, Turkey's already on the board on the medal count that I have. But overall, what are you seeing? You know, we have on Friday mixed teams. And so mixed teams are going to be your number 1 qualifier for each country from the men's side generally, and your number 1 qualifier on the women's side of things. We've seen Korea win in women's team competition, now in men's competition gold. We're looking at, in the mixed team, Korea as the favorite, gentlemen. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, like I was telling everyone in the field yesterday, I just don't think any of these gold medals are going to be able to be taken from the Koreans this games. I think they're going to do a 5-medal sweep. And as much as I hate to say that, it just seems like that's the route we're going to be going.
And what about you, Lloyd?
Yeah, I agree. It's always tough, but you never know. I mean, there are chances. I think, you know, that women's team, there were a couple of good opportunities there for one of the teams to take them out, but it didn't happen. So, you know, sometimes there can be an opening, but you got to take advantage of it when it's there.
And Bernardo, you look at, obviously on the women's side of things, a new world record was set. Does that put any more pressure, expectation on your shoulders that you're the automatic gold medal individual favorite because of that, or not?
Well, if it does, I think we've seen that Lim Shi-hyun, she can really handle the pressure really well, because what she did yesterday was remarkable. What she's been doing, really, she at such a young age and not with a lot of experience, she's really the captain of that Korean team. It's really impressive. But I disagree a little bit with Lloyd and Justin. I'll just be a little bit more optimistic here. I think that in the mixed team competition, things can be a little bit, just more open, because the thing with the 3 archer teams is that basically only Korea can afford to have 3 outstanding archers. But then when it comes down to only 2, a man and a woman, then you have more countries that are capable of having a very good archer. For example, the USA, like Casey and Brady, that's a heck of a double. It's a really strong mixed team. And Mexico as well, Matias Grande and Alejandro Valencia, and so it goes, So I like to think that in the mixed team competition, Korea, they could be upset by a couple of teams.
The other thing too, looking at especially the Korean system, when we got some insight from So Chae-won yesterday, talking about how often that the teams compete together, you would have to kind of think to yourself, well, wait a second, how often do you get to have mixed team? Because who is going to be your mixed team, team when you get to a certain event? So I think it's also going to be who actually has been able to practice together and get their rhythm down. We're lucky enough to have our gold medalist from Sydney, Australia, Simon Fairweather, is joining us right now. Simon, so how are things down on the field, and how is that crowd, man, getting after it today?
Yeah, how about that crowd, hey? It was pretty amazing to be in the top of the stadium there when they started stamping their feet and everything. Sorry, there's a garbage truck that's pulled up next to me. It's making things hard to hear, but anyway, we'll carry on. Yeah, amazing atmosphere. Has there been a stadium as big as that for an archery event ever? I mean, none that I've seen. It was incredible. And really a very different atmosphere today than yesterday, right from the beginning. You had the Korean team who came out, and right from the beginning in their first match, you could see that they were pumped. Just let that truck go. Yeah, really pumped. everyone was really upbeat, and even the crowd. I think like rather than everybody sort of being like grimacing about whether Korea would get up for their 10th in a row or not. Today it was just about performance. Everybody was gunning for the best they could, and I really think that that all of the teams were really sort of much more in the groove today. Yeah, spectacular and masterful shooting at the end. Korea saving their best for the last few ends.
So Justin Hewish on the panel, you recognize Simon, don't you, Justin? You guys have known each other a little while.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Justin.
How you doing, Simon? Glad you're
I'm
out
doing
there.
really well,
I wish I was there with you.
Yeah. So, yeah. I was sitting next to Brady, actually, so I had a little bit of token American company there. Token, sorry, Brady, it's not token.
So actually, Simon,
Brady
since you
also
had a
made another
conversation with
interesting-
Brady. Yeah, we want to bring it
Yeah,
up. Like,
he had
so
another
coming up
interesting
next
comment
on
today was-
Friday. Yeah. So go ahead, Simon.
I was going to say Brady had another interesting comment today that the flags on top of the targets, he said they were like weighed about a pound or something. Like he said, they were so stiff and so heavy that if you saw that flag moving, you better be aiming in the 7. So yeah, not a lot of information coming from those today. Really did seem from where we were sitting that the teams were struggling to understand the wind. I don't know if it was any stronger than yesterday, maybe not even as bad, but really quite confusing, I think, for a lot of teams. So you could sort of see them take a while to come to grips with it and double guessing themselves.
Looking ahead to the mixed team matches, what are some of the things that you think are going to happen? Looking to Friday, I believe, as we have that competition.
I guess the difference then is you're looking at different teams, aren't you? Because the combinations of who has a good man and woman versus 3 good male or female shooters it gives you a different bunch of people potentially, and also with less people in the team. If one of your team members isn't shooting as well as they might, it puts a bigger dent into your performance, I think, than when you've got the score being made up from 3 people. So the dynamic and the atmosphere between the two shooters, I think, is probably as or more important than the teams.
And so, what's your schedule going to be like in terms of your morning show, the croissant show? What can we look forward to the rest of the week?
I think we've got a show every day, same time as usual, as far as I know.
Perfect. Well, listen, we appreciate your insight. Yeah. Thanks so much. And make sure everybody you tune in, come back to World Archery's channel, because Simon's with Vanessa, they got a great show coming at you. So make sure you tune in and watch, especially if you're missing archery in the middle of the week, because it'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday later on that we're going to have our mixed team and individual matches coming at you. So we appreciate it, Simon. And glad you're there enjoying the atmosphere.
Thank you. I'm having a great time.
All right. Cheers. Well, panel, that'll do it for us, really, for our coverage. It's been awesome. Can't thank you enough for being here. Lloyd, thank you so much for adding your perspective from a coach's perspective. How's your time been checking out this team, women's and men's teams matches?
Enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, glad to have you. Jim Chrisman, thank you so much for your time and adding to our broadcast with your scoring and plotting. It's certainly fun. And Justin, you're going to be with us for the rest of the time, as is Bernardo. So listen, thanks so much for checking us out on World Archery's YouTube channel. For this entire panel and for the panel we had on yesterday, we appreciate you checking us out and joining our Archery in Paris watch along. We're going to be back. There are reminders that are set on World Archery's YouTube channel, so make sure you click on that reminder, and we'll get some more insight from Justin and Bernardo. Thanks again, Bernardo, for keeping all those stats. Any final comments from either one of you two as we sign off?
Well, I'll take the head start here. I was just going to say just a final comment on the gold medal final that we've seen, like many arrows by Thomas Giraud and one by Jean-Charles Valadon that were 9 so close to the 10. So I wonder, maybe that was luck. Maybe that was just a little bit of tension. It's really hard to tell. But yeah, on those very fine margins, maybe it would have been a totally different story had those arrows clipped at the line. But well, they'll have to wait 4 years to try again. And hats off to Korea, because they shot the lights out today. It was amazing. And thanks everyone, Greg, Justin, Lloyd, Jim. Really, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys, and see you on Friday.
And Justin?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Greg. I appreciate it. I'll get some rest, and hopefully I'll be a little bit more energetic on the next episode. But it was definitely something to witness here, matches of the ages.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure you have an outstanding week. If you want to, get out if you have time and shoot your bow, because we know that this competition has got you motivated to compete in archery. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you Friday, bright and early, for more Archery from Paris.